What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Aegis Champions League. We are coming at you with our upper finals. This is going to determine which of these two teams is going to be making it to the grand finals and who is going to be dipping down to the lower finals, play up against the winner of Mirage Alliance and Peach Cats. It is going to be Winthrop University taking on Team Fish Taco in a best of 5. My name is Gordo. I'm joined on the cast tonight by Quacks. Quacks, welcome back to the ACL. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, and I am absolutely thrilled to be casting this matchup. I think that this is a matchup that is long overdue. These are two teams that a lot of people have said are ACL favorites, and it's not difficult to see why, right? They're the top of the ladder in their respective divisions. They have a ton of players from CELOL and Academy, and I think that that is going to cause a sort of CELOL Academy civil war in this matchup. And I think me and a lot of people are excited to see which team comes out on top.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think let's get right into these rosters just to break down how stacked some of these teams are. Let's start off with Winthrop University. We can bring them on up. It is going to be Denethor, Trickster, Sword, Mobility, and Chookies. They are running the full original starting five, and they have been on an absolute tear through the ACL.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to highlight Sword real quick. I think that this is a player a lot of people discounted in mid lane after his roster shuffle. I'm sorry, his role swap rather, where he was in that support position for the basically more than a year. There were doubts when he started to come back into mid lane, and I think that if anything, he has dispelled and discredited those rumors over this past ACL split because he has had an absolute monster performance. And I think in this series, he's going to face his toughest challenge yet with Young.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair point to make here. They are really, really stacked up in the mid lane here. And let's talk a little bit about their opposition here, bringing up Team Fish Taco, where we have got ourselves originally Surdy in the top lane, Winnie, Young, originally Meech, and Trevor. Now, this team's undergoing some real-time changes here as Meech has been called up by the 100 Thieves, in case you've been living under a rock for a bit. They are off boot camping right now, so Meech has been subbed out for Array, and Surdy also not going to be able to be here today. They are bringing in Faisal in the top lane instead.
Yeah, and this is, I think, where a lot of the worries come in with Team Fish Taco. The communication aspect is something that a lot of teams need to get down, and it's the hallmark of any good team. And I think that the original Team Fish Taco roster had amazing communication, and so it's a little bit worrying to see these substitutes and these replacements come in at such a pivotal time, at such a pivotal matchup too. And I think that the first couple of games are definitely going to be indicative of how that communication in practice has been going for this team.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, it's the nature of being an off-season tournament, right? We started, we formed rosters back during Worlds, and now the whole kind of NA Major League off-season has taken place, and that's going to cause some players, especially on teams like Team Fish Taco, right? A lot of folks on this squad were gunning for those LCS positions. Very happy that at least one of them made it on up there, and another clearly was very, very borderline if you've been keeping on up with the news. So these kind of changes could have been anticipated from the start, and I think it's at least very fortunate that they've brought in some of the very, very most hype talents to come on to replace them here. Faisal and Array, they're not exactly Surdy and Meech, but they are all top half academy level talents, I would say, pretty easily, and they are certainly going to be really hyped players to see coming on into the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm definitely looking at Young to be the most hyped player in this Team Fish Taco roster. This is a guy, disguised toast winner, NACL champion. There are a lot of expectations for this player, many of whom know about Young's history, should and are saying that he should be in the LCS. So this is potentially a future LCS prospect in the making right here. And I think that we're going to see right here in this series him go aggressive, him try to play to his strengths. Things like the Akali and the Silas that he's known for, I think, are going to be heavily contested by Team Fish Taco to make sure he doesn't get them. I would imagine that he is going to probably be the most focused on by Winthrop, because if you can't keep him down, he's just going to explode.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the requirement coming on in here. I mean, I wouldn't discount the other lanes and the strengths that they can bring. We've seen players like Faisal and players like Array be big carries for their respective organizations in the past, but I agree, this team is going to be all about Young. It's been all about Young, I think, for a lot of the season, and they're losing out on one of their big carry threats without having Surdy here for the day. So I think that's definitely going to be the direction I expect them to pivot towards, given that kind of situation that they find themselves in. And that's going to really lead to, I think, a lot of these matchups ending up as very exciting ones. The bot lane in particular, one that I really want to center on, just because of the surprise that Winthrop gave me when we streamed their matchup up against Peach Cats last week. I think, Mobility and Chookies, they're super talented in their own right. Mobility has shown a lot of his development since his time coming on in for Evil Geniuses, and Chookies has been around the block so many times on so many amateur teams. But combined together, looking up against some of the competition here, looking at a league that has Meech and Trevor in it, at a league that had Isles and Wixie in it, weren't exactly rated as one of the very top bot lanes, but they really threw some question marks at that label over last week, where they were completely dominant over Wixie and Isles, 2v2 killing them in both games and taking a quick 2-0.
Yeah, I think that there were a lot of questions sort of around their potential, and I think that their potential is going to be pushed in this series as we have hopped right back into draft, and the teams just immediately firing away the bans. Maokai, Jax, and Ori already taken off the table.
Yeah, absolutely here. So going to be seeing that Winthrop still decide to focus up towards that top side. They still decide to take away the Jax. Now, that's interesting to me, because I would think, that's definitely something you got to prioritize up against the likes of Surdy, but now they know they're up against Faisal, and they still decide, hey, you know what? We want to guarantee that Denethor is going to have a real safe matchup. Denethor, one of the most hyped prospects coming in, I think, to this next NACL season. Out of players who haven't played games in the NACL, I get the sense that Denethor is one of the folks that people really, really, really think belong up there, and that he is one of those next big up-and-coming North American players. Gonna get an opportunity to prove it here up against plenty of folks who have all been in and around the NACL for quite a bit of time here on Team Fish Taco. The Talia band gonna round things on out as they look to pinch away some options for the mid lane and jungle from Winthrop. I have to see what the first selection is going to be. Looking at that Jarvan, that is still a super high prio pick.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a Winnie special. He loves to play these facilitator champions along with Young, who still has a couple of his picks open and available. Obviously, the Orianna is taken off the table, but I think that a lot of Young's specializations lie in more lane-dominant picks, such as the Akali and the Sylas. Now, I don't think that that takes away from his ability to play things like the Azir to play more for the late game, but if we are having something like a Jarvan, I would expect that they are going to try and play around Young and that jungle to mid lane synergy.
Yeah, I think that's very, very likely to see here, but you also got to focus towards that if you're Winthrop University. So I think a lot of likelihood that they're going to take this Jarvan and they're going to try to play around that side of the map as well. But you could definitely see Team Fish Taco looking to make Sword uncomfortable. Young has a deep champion pool and a very assassin-focused champion pool. I wouldn't be surprised to see a very early Akali lock-in come on through for Team Fish Taco as they try to make sure that he's going to be on a pick that he's really comfortable with. The Sylas, another pick that's been a big staple of his over the course of this season that we very likely will see coming on through given the bans. Instead, it's going to be the Vi here for Winnie. So that Vi Varus, they're going to look to prioritize getting a really powerful laner in the bottom lane.
And this is a champion that can really shut down Mobility. Mobility likes to play a lot of these champions that don't necessarily have a ton. Well, so things like the Zeri are countered by the Vi, which Mobility enjoys. Aphelios, Kaisa are other champions that he plays as well. And the Xayah is locked in, making sure that you have that cease and desist available for you to just shut down any of the carries is really good for Team Fish Taco and a good awareness and respect to the bot lane of Winthrop.
Absolutely. Here's the Renata now going to be that next hover for Team Fish Taco, and they're going to lock that one in super early. They love the disengaged power that it provides for Trevor, and seeing that they're up against Xayah Rakan, they know Rakan's going to be diving in for those grand entrance engages. This is going to be the best they can do to dissuade that, and I think these are the kind of angles where I really want to see that Renata locked on in. When you see two engaged champions already locked in, that's where it's going to be the most effective, and I think it's a really solid pick for them right now. So now it's going to be all about the solo lanes coming into the second phase of bans. Team Fish Taco now pointing their fingers over towards the side of Winthrop. They know the top lane is going to likely have to be blinded here. At least one of them is, and they want to take away one of the best options in that Renekton.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another blind pick that could be taken away is going to be that Cassante. I think that both of these top laners, Faisal and Denethor respectively, play Cassante and know how to play him. So I would imagine that gets taken off the table here as well. But Kennen going to be taken off the board. I'm pretty sure that this is a Faisal pick. This is something that he enjoys playing. So just a personal ban there, I think, coming out from Winthrop.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is now going to be the Kennen to be taken away. Again, that's a big Surdy pick. I do wonder how much of this was prep for Winthrop before they knew about the substitution coming in today. Not to say that Faisal can't play these champions, he certainly can, but the Kennen and Jax fans definitely feel a little Surdy adjacent there, especially to Kennen. That's been a big pick for him throughout this season. There's going to be the Ari taken off the board as Sword just continues to lose out on some of his favorites, and finally that Akali ban going to round things out. I do think a Silas is very, very possibly going to be
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have the Cataclysm, you have the Rakan and Xayah ults. These are super good for Silas to have and are so versatile. You can use them in so many different situations. But yeah, like you said, mid lane is probably going to want counter pick, so Aatrox is locked in.
Yeah, Aatrox going to be coming on through here and is going to be picked up against, looks like the Camille for Denethor. I really like this one. This is something that Denethor has always brought out in pocket situations, and now going to be taking it into the Aatrox here. That's an old school Aatrox counter pick as well. The mobility letting you get out of some of those Dark and Blade procs. The Azir blind pick does give an assassin angle to Young, and he's already hovering that LeBlanc.
Yeah, and I mean, LeBlanc is a champion that has been hit by a lot of nerfs recently. Obviously, a lot of people really enjoyed going that on-hit build that was created by Bob Quinn, but Riot didn't like it, so therefore they gutted it. So that has seen a lot of hits lately. LeBlanc has been the product of a lot of nerfs, but still has remained strong. And I think if it is piloted correctly, this Azir Sword is going to have a really bad time, which is not what he wants. He wants to scale up along with the rest of his team and just make sure that that late game is in their clutches.
Yeah, and do you think LeBlanc is still like low-key playable, right? Most of the nerfs that have come on through have been on that static shiv, right? They've been taking away the power with the dashes to reset the cooldown. They've been making the actual ability of it when the passive is up a little bit less powerful. But LeBlanc, in the meanwhile, like very quietly before even the rise of that on-hit build, was just kind of getting a little bit of buffs here and there. Like she gets mana back now if she last hits a minion with her Q. That doesn't matter too often, but it's always nice to have that little bit of bonus. And if you're going for a more traditional AP build, she's largely the same champion that she's been.
Yeah, absolutely. So just looking at the rosters, the teams here, now that we have finished out our draft, I think that it is going to be really vital for Team Fish Taco to target up toward that Xayah, right? Making sure that mobility cannot get online is going to be crucial. And I think that they have drafted accordingly. The Vi, the Renata to be able to take Rakan out of any engages that he might want to go for is also good against the Jarvan. I think it's going to be really important that this Renata is unlocked and that this Varus is able to have a game where he's able to farm up to that 2 to 3 item spike, so when that late game hits they actually can take a fight, because you're against something like a Camille, an Azir. This is no easy team to beat in the late game.
Absolutely not. And there's just so much really powerful lockdown there as well. You look at the Jarvan and the Camille both coming in, both putting you in the cage, and both really denying a lot of opportunities if you are playing an immobile carry like the Varus. So a lot of risk coming towards them there in that Winthrop University squad, or from that Winthrop University squad coming towards Team Fish Taco. Now, we got into draft super early today, so we didn't even get to talk about predictions, but it is Friday. That means we ran predictions. We know what everybody's predicting. Let's throw them on up here and see what folks in and around the ACL are thinking about tonight's matchup. And this just might be one of the closest ones we've had yet, Quacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking across the board, it mostly seems like people are taking Team Fish Taco as the victors, but I do think it is worth noticing when you talk about Team Fish Taco, the amount of replacements that have been going on for this team. These were made, I believe, mostly before Surdy was E-subbed out, so I think that might throw a wrench in some of these predictions, but I still think that Team Fish Taco are not defenseless. They're not helpless against Winthrop. They still definitely have a chance, but it is going to be really important these first couple of games just to see how they gel.
That is definitely going to be really important coming into this one. And I gotta call out Slayer for his 2-1 prediction. Not quite the length of the series, but we'll call that a Winthrop prediction one way or the other. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting how staff like directly on Aegis seem to be favoring Team Fish Taco. But you know, those on the right coming on in here with a lot of a Winthrop favoritism. And I do think this is a really close matchup. I think if you asked me this maybe 2 weeks ago, I would have said TFT all the way, even probably with the roster substitutions. But I've been forced to come up on Winthrop University, right? They've been so good, and really have just been proving all the doubters wrong the whole way through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely, again, I am very excited to see this matchup. But are there any things that we should watch out for, especially like early game shenanigans, Gordo? Because you're definitely more prone and savvy with the ACL. So is there anything we should look out for in regards to both teams?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is we've paid so few visits to the upper bracket because we've been focusing on elimination matches and who's going to stay in the ACL, who's going to get eliminated. Those are always the more hype matches to show on stream, so that's what we prioritize most of the way through. And that does mean that, when we get to winners finals, we've covered very little Winthrop and very little Team Fish Taco throughout the season. Team Fish Taco, especially, this is going to be their first appearance on stream, just because when you're weighing the matches coming into the week every week, you want the close matches, and there's very few reasons to believe that a matchup with TFT in it is ever going to be close. And they proved that during the regular season, where they dropped no matches where they actually played. They went 6-1, having forfeited the last week because by the time they got to week 7, there was no point in even playing anymore. So they were locked first. It didn't matter. So they forfeited the match and due to some conflicts, not just for the hell of it. And then, ended up making this march all the way towards winners finals. I do know that Winnie can be pretty creative in his pathing, thinking back to his time in NACL and in other leagues like that. He's definitely been one to go for some of those early aggressive plays when he gets the opportunity to do so. And I know Trickster could be a bit of a mad scientist in the jungle in his own right. So I do think there's definitely some room for these guys to try for some very interesting moves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think that along with the matchup, just with the players in themselves, I think that this is also a symbolic matchup of Seawolf versus Academy. We talked a little bit about it before the stream started, Gordo, but for the most part, these are well-established orgs in the Seawolf scene with Winthrop, and then the Academy scene with Team Fish Taco. These are teams and orgs that have shown up when it matters, have made rosters with a lot of star-studded talent on them, and I think that these rosters are no different. To see them finally compete, it honestly feels like a very overdue matchup, and I honestly think that the Sealol versus Academy sort of storyline that could be developed from this series alone just makes it all the more exciting.
Absolutely here. Well, we are just a few seconds away from Spec Draft finishing up. Let's send it on over to the promo video, and we will be back as we get on to the Rift for Game 1 of Team Fish Taco taking on Winthrop University. Team Fish Taco came into the ACL with the most stacked roster imaginable. Featuring players from both NACL finalist squads, TFT steamrolled the regular season, locking first seed before Week 7 was even played.
Music soon to fall as well. Relic on the wrong side of the lane. The arrow gonna land right on Relic's head. It was a stolen ultimate from Young, showing out. Not expecting an arrow to land on a Relic's head, and he falls. A double kill for Surdy. Team Fish Taco are dominating.
Now, with Meech moving on to the 100 Thieves, TFT must adapt quickly as they face their most difficult opponents yet.
Back and forth back. They caught somebody out.
They get the arrow. Look how quickly they chuck Trevor down. You've got a big play coming from Breezy. The slicing Maelstrom only hitting the front line. Nobody's hitting Meech though. He's free firing and he's mopping them all up. A triple kill for Meech already. Baz B, the next victim. The GA drops. The 6th item of Felios shows up for Team Fish Taco.
Winthrop University fought their way through 2 tournament favorites to reach the upper semifinals and are looking to keep their undefeated playoffs run alive.
Alive. Ultimate down from Denethor, using the Dominus, flashes in, going in for the Ruthless Predator, and picks up the solo kill. Denethor takes down Moosehater.
After taking down the Peach Cats, the Eagles have their talons locked on the Team Fish Taco for their next meal.
Gonna get blown up. The engage is found by Keel, but Moosehater is not here. Moosehater is still en route, and the Peach Cats are getting routed while they wait. A punt out onto 3 could turn this back around for the Peach Cats. As Wixie is able to take down 1. He's taking up mobility. Mano-y-mano, and they will trade 1-for-1 with the help of Moosehater. But now Moosehater in a 1 versus 3. Everybody he punted out is back for revenge, and they will get it. Looking to bust open the base for Winthrop University.
Will the fish outwit the eagle, or will they become sushi? Find out on Friday, December 8th at twitch.tv/Aegis Esports GG.
Welcome back, everybody. Shout out again to PVS for that one. We were hoping to go straight into game, but it looks like we got a little bit of a pause to kick things off. So we will be sending it in as soon as we get the opportunity to do so. But still, plenty to talk about left with this draft here. Quacks is some real powerful team fighting tools, but also some really powerful split pushing tools coming through for Winthrop University.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in particular, I am really interested to see how Winthrop University play around that early game. Sword has been a player that while he has returned to the mid lane, I think a lot of people have called out the champion pool of Sword. He's really only been able to play around 5 mid. I believe only 5 mid laners have been shown in the entire ACL scene. So there is a lot of worry because a majority of those are late game champions as to how it can unlock Trickster in this game. And Trickster is a jungler that wants to get on the map early, right? He wants to make sure that he can be as impactful as early as possible. But I am a little bit worried about the juxtaposition you see on Trickster's champion and then the juxtaposition you see on Sword's champion with the Azir.
Yeah, definitely here. So they can combine together to have some really powerful mid lane pressure. But they can also non-bow each other a little bit, right? It all depends on how you end up being set out and if you're going to really be able to carry that through to be able to come out ahead, especially against somebody as mobile as Young's LeBlanc. Going to be very, very tough to lock them down on something like the Jarvan. And I do think across the board everywhere but bot lane, Team Fish Taco have drafted well around that first pick Jarvan, noting how much potential there is to get ganked early on and how powerful that pick is right now. There's tools in every single lane to be able to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that early bot lane fight.
All right, Array going down very, very low here. Mobility and Shookie's camping, looking to make it 3 comp games in a row where they pick up first blood 2v2. I don't think they're going to get it this time, but they're going to get so many summoner spells. Trevor might have to flash here. That's a fully stacked up lethal tempo from Mobility, and it is just going to keep raining hell towards the TFT bot lane.
Yeah, but now Mobility and Chukis, especially when they hit level 2, are just going to be able to rain absolute hell over Array and Trevor. And this is going to be rough for a champion like Varus, who is, for lack of better understanding, a very immobile champion. He really is reliant on that flash, and so now he has to be careful, play under his turret, and you can see that Trickster is already utilizing that early push that his lanes have and going straight for the jungle.
Yeah, definitely is here. Is Young going to tick over to that level 2? They're looking to keep up that pressure, but look at this invade. Trickster knows how weak the bot lane is and says, oh, this is easy pickings for me. Gonna steal away this blue buff. Let's see if Winnie reads what's going on or gets any kind of hint about it from the bot lane to try to respond. Otherwise, he's gonna go down 3 buffs.
And I think that it could be worth mentioning a potential dive happening here if they manage to stack the waves in bot lane, but you have to be really careful diving a Renata. Once she gets that bailout, it's incredibly risky to go for something like that. It could very well, if they mess it up, turn Array into someone who's very behind this early on, into someone who can get a very potentially early kill.
It really can. So now going to be just finding out that his buff is gone just a little bit too late. Trickster coming in for the dive on the still level 1 bot lane. Trevor gonna tank it up first, just a little bit too late on the kill, and it will go over to Mobility. Winnie arrives, but it's too little, it's too late, and first blood has been secured for Winthrop University.
Not only that, but Winnie also had to expel Flash. This is such a vital summoner spell to have on Vi early on in the game for those Flash Qs, and now he doesn't have the ability to make anything without that summoner spell. So very unfortunate there for Winnie that he wasn't able to make any impact.
Very unfortunate indeed, and going to leave him grasping for something here, finding his way on towards the Raptors. Wants to be able to pick that one up. Going to be Trickster not winning out on the smite fight. It does go to Winnie, so he gets himself a little bit of money back in the bank, just the slightest bit of clap back up against Trickster's Jarvan, and is strong enough in that one-on-one that he should be able to secure himself a Scuttle Crab.
Yep, and just making his way to the top side here. Winnie kind of locked out of any plays. You can see him pinging toward the Krugs, but after that, there isn't a lot to play for if you're the Vi. You don't really have the potential to go for a dive as Dethroner. Actually taking a decent amount of chunking health off of the Aatrox.
Yep. just showing why that Camille has been favored as a counter pick to the Aatrox in the past, and it's a personal favorite of Denethor's as well, so he's plenty happy to find himself in this matchup. Faisal gonna have to make something happen here, trying to get the trade backs, but Denethor definitely evading the sweet spots, always ignoring the knockup. Trevor coming for a very aggressive play in mid here. He's still level 2. Thinks that might be enough as Young going in aggressively trading with Sword. Blinks back away. Sword low mana, low health. Now so low mana that he probably can't dash backwards, but Trevor doesn't see the opportunity. Denethor falling very, very low here, but should be able to skirt out the safety with the hook shot.
Yeah, manages to get out with the skin of his teeth, got hit by that final Q sweet spot. So very, very careful about where you get hit by this Aatrox, because if you are wrong and he ends up chunking you, if you make a wrong move, then Faisal is going to punish you for that. And we saw that. Now forced to burn his TP. Not too big of a deal because it is in the early game. Unleashed teleports are not yet up, but it is still a summoner spell down nonetheless.
Yeah, great trade there from Young in the mid lane, though. Fresh off TPs being expended by both mid laners. This is what TFT wants to play through. Young already up nearly 2 waves worth of minions, really bringing the pain towards Sword. And Trickster going to have to find a way to come in, disrupt this, relieve that pressure if they want to be able to play through mid at all. TFT, if they can get unlocked, if they can get Young far enough ahead where he could just shove, move around, keep Sword on the back foot, that's how they can get back into this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is a really difficult matchup for Azir, right? You saw just one trade and Young was able to half health Sword. And this is the dilemma of the matchup, right? It's an assassin versus a mage that scales. And so Sword really has to pay respects with the minion. You can see Young, he's getting the ability to push the wave in just because Sword is playing so cautiously, so aware of the damage that this LeBlanc can do with that electrocute keystone.
For sure, he's doing a good job of keeping himself alive so far, but it's not helping him out too much in the income department. Winnie lurking around mid, ready to counter pick, counter gank if Trickster tries to go towards anything. That first dragon is up and available. Bot lanes continue to duke it out there. Winnie gonna take the third Scuttle Crab as it spawns up and going to keep them in control of vision on that half of the map.
Yep, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Winnie hasn't tried to go for a dragon yet. Vi is one of those champions that is really good at taking the dragon with the W, the denting blows, being able to reduce its armor and giving you the bonus attack speed. It feels like it's a no-brainer for an objective for a champion like Vi.
Wow, Young just going aggressively here, even with Trickster up in his face. Goes back in. He wants the solo kill up against Sword. Sword's gonna flash out to safety, and Young flashes back in, finds the solo kill. Young breaks Winthrop University's ankles and gets out with the kill. But here comes the collapse coming in from Chookies. Nice dodge out coming on through. Young needs the W, but it's too late, and Trickster will be able to take him down.
Fancy feet coming out from Young, manages to get the kill and burns the flash from Sword in the process. So this Azir is in a lot of trouble until that comes up.
Denethor stuck on the wrong side of the map now as Winnie comes on in, going to throw down that ultimate, and that should be all she wrote for Denethor. Denethor going in, trying to make the trade back, but Faisal will collapse on him with the Q3 and picks up a kill for himself.
Yeah, but on the other side, you can see Trickster going for the dragon, as we do have a replay here coming out from that mid lane fight, or not. And so that is going to be a dragon for Trickster, but it looks like Winnie is going to trade back for a Herald, but you can see the pings, and finally we do have the replay. Young, they did not pay respect to the clone. You can see Sword walking up too far, forced to flash. And then as if it didn't get worse enough, they weren't aware of Young having the flash himself, and he just manages to finish off the kill. Overall, it felt like they just were not able to keep track of Young, but ultimately he didn't have anything left, had no angles to go through, and was ultimately just pinched. You're LeBlanc, you can get away from a lot, but you can't get away from 3 people going after you.
Yeah, maybe had a little bit of an angle to try to get out into that blue buff, but just couldn't find it and will end up going down. But still, that's going to deny a lot of farm from Sword. Sword, he gets the assist at the end of the day, but that's split in multiple directions. He's not going to be able to really be able to profit and it's going to give Young even more of a lead in the one-on-one. He now has the Sorcerer's Shoes all the way completed, pretty much entirely up over Sword in that department with the Sorc Shoes, and it's going to give that extra mana pen so much of a difference maker there in these one-on-ones.
Yep, absolutely. Denethor taking out a decent trade there, just kind of playing a game of chicken with the hook shot. But yeah, both jungle neutral objectives have been taken off the board. So now I am expecting a little bit of peacetime here from both teams. But as I say that, the top laners are trading heavily, and Trickster is here.
Trickster lurking there, has access to the Cataclysm to lock down Faisal, and as Faisal dashes forward, gonna be punished instantly. No easy way out, but does get the big Q3. Trickster has to flash away.
My God.
Denethor left underneath the turret. The turret shot will not find him for the kill, but Faisal keeps them both low and gets himself a path out.
What an unbelievably heart-wrenching play there from Winthrop. It looked like they had it, but as soon as the turret shot started going through onto Trickster, taking him too low, there just was no more follow-up to be had. All three members get out with the skin of their teeth, but a lot is expended to try and get Faisal.
Ooh, Array throwing on down those Chains of Corruption, locking down Mobility, gets a big chunk onto him as Chookies has to throw down the quickness to try to kite back away. Trevor going to be able to bail himself out, but flashed away from is that hostile takeover, and it will guarantee a 2-on-2 win to Mobility and Chookies, and they're not done yet.
Ooh.
Knockup going to find its way onto Array. Mobility advancing forward, looking to take down the double kill, but Array will escape thanks to the Ghost and the Flash. Winthrop University, though, continuing to build out a lead. His Sword shuffles Young back in. The chain CC is too much, and LeBlanc cannot escape.
The mid laner of Winthrop University, Sword, finally manages to get the better of Young, and this is exactly what the Azir wants, to be able to go into the lane, to be able to farm to 2 to 3 items and become an absolute monster. Great gank there from Trickster to help out, and overall, Young, that early aggression that we talked about in the draft being neutralized. As we see a replay here, Mobility looking for the kill. Crucially, I want to point out Mobility's flash here, flashed away from the hostile takeover. He knew that the bailout was active on the Renata and didn't even want to give Trevor a chance at going for the revive. So that really did save Mobility's life there and secured the fate of the Renata. But Array here forced to flash as well. Now no summoners up for the Varus. He gets out this time, but now I have to imagine they're going to be looking heavily for him.
Ooh, Sword gets so much distance there, pulls Winnie way out of position.
Whoa.
So much damage, has to get back away from Chookies. The flash from Winnie will get him to safety, but what about the clapback? Here comes Trickster, looking to get himself involved in the fight. The Rift Herald gonna get thrown down as TFT. They have more numbers, they have more pressure, and they want to cash out on these turret plates. They're gonna be splitting them 4 ways here on this crash. Actually, just one way. They all go over to Winnie, so he's going to be able to get his Divine Sunderer, but nobody else going to be reaping those rewards.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to get some of the gold onto Winnie, but I mean, look at Mobility in the bot lane. He has just been free farming, taking plates for himself. You're giving him exactly what he wants, so this is accelerating the Xayah. Even if it is a little, it's getting him more ahead.
Now Faisal now getting collapsed on as well. There's going to be the throwdown of that intervention, and there's just nowhere left to go. Trickster picks up the killing spree, and Denethor continues to find angles on towards his top lane opposition.
They're surrounded here. They're actually going for it.
Yeah, all right, trying to kite back out. There's the hostile takeover. It will connect onto Mobility, but the arrow misses. And here comes Winnie to try to turn around the play. He doesn't have the ultimate, but does he need it? Feather pull back onto Array, but it's too little damage. Array will be able to take him out. Bailout not necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. That felt like a really risky play coming out from Mobility and Chookies. You know Winnie is in the river. Going for that, you were essentially relying on them getting bursted down, but Array managing to survive with a little bit of HP, and with the death of Mobility, they are just going to pick up their first dragon of the game. A bit of an overstep there, I feel, from the bot lane of Winthrop.
Absolutely. Just getting a little bit too comfortable with it. Now the one-on-one really starting to favor Denethor here as he's got that Divine Sunderer down, and they are going to be pulling up Trickster. Try to keep the pain coming towards Faisal. He survived one dive. Will he be able to pull off another this time without World Ender? Taking some aggressive trades with Denethor to get some health back wherever he gets the chance, but Denethor gonna get a big chunk there off the precision protocol. Now so vulnerable is Faisal. Winnie gonna be there for the backup. They will think better of the dive, knowing that Winnie is waiting in the wings.
Yeah, but you can see that Chukis has made his way up to the top lane. They're really trying to punish Faisal, but Faisal's spider sense, it's tingling. You can see the ward in that bush, but they're just so determined to go for this kill, but they don't have a wave.
Very, very dangerous stuff here. World Ender going to be up here very soon. The dive back in, precision protocol damage might be enough. Flash in from Trickster, but the healing from Faisal is more than enough. They get caught with their hand too far in the cookie jar, and Chookies is forced to back on off. One kill to Team Fish Taco, and Winnie is looking for more. World Ender back on available. Gonna get popped, but nobody lands the Darkened Blades, and Denethor flashes in for the execute.
That honestly felt like a really good play there from Denethor. The flash E was amazing, but they're not done.
Yeah, the damage from Young might just be too much, but Winnie gets turned back around on. Teleport coming through from Sword, and Denethor's gonna turn this all around single-handedly. The true damage off his Q. It's just too much for Team Fish Taco.
Yup, the Divine Sunder coming in clutch, and Sword manages to get the kill with the very last tick of the Sand Soldier.
Ooh, pull back onto Array. Array finds himself caught once again, and the Cataclysm onto 2. It's just beautiful from Tricksters. Winthrop cash out on both sides.
Winthrop going absolutely crazy all across the board, managing to get themselves several kills. And this is something that I was a little bit worried about. Their early game comp, it was centered around Jarvan being able to have high impact, but for the most part, the rest of the team spiked toward that mid to late game. And now that they have managed to get some gold into their pockets, I have a feeling as long as they don't throw, as long as they don't go for anything unnecessary, they can go for this Herald and just have smooth sailing to transition themselves into a good mid game.
Absolutely, and a good mid game is what they are finding for themselves here. Knock up onto Trevor, caught out once again, goes into the stasis, does have to throw down the hostile takeover, will get it off, but it lands onto nobody. The Winthrop University, they split in an instant, and nobody gets charmed on up. Now Young going in for the trade with Trickster, going to bait him deeper in. Winnie coming in for the turnaround, going to land that punch, but the shuffle back from Sword is gorgeous, and it's gonna net him another kill on a Winnie. Young already forced out of the play as mobility advances towards this turret. Winthrop University keeping Team Fish Taco on the back foot, and Array about to become the next victim, forced to flash over the wall as the quickness from Chookies comes in with the collapse. Young stuck on the wrong side of the map as well, has to jump back over the wall, but that means leaving Array out to dry, where he will be cleaned up here before too long. Kiting back, still trying to stay alive, but the grand entrance will connect. Denethor maybe getting baited a little bit here, but that shield, the adapted defense, is enough to protect him.
And Winthrop University managed to hold on. They managed to get more and more advantages, but mobility is in trouble.
No flash, no ghost, no nothing, but they still can't finish him off. Trevor forced to flash in to make it happen. He will get that shutdown gold, but he'll give a kill back to Sword for it.
Yup, Trevor sent back to the fountain yet again, manages to get the kill, but that is much more worth it for Winthrop University. Sword on this Azir, now 2-1-5 as we have the replay here. Trevor getting caught out here, uses the hostile takeover, but it completely whiffs, and now it's just Team Fish Taco on the run, but Young trying to capitalize off of the overstay by Trickster, but he just ends up baiting them into a beautiful shuffle, forcing them to step forward and taking down Winnie in the process. It is actually very interesting that Young didn't get taken out right then and there, because usually you would expect that to be the case. And yeah, as this replay continues to go on, Array just has nowhere to go. He has nothing up. Is forced to use the flash, but we're back in live.
TFT know they have to keep this action going to have a chance to come back into it. They want to be able to finish off Denethor, and the shutdown gold will go to Faisal. Advancing forward is Winnie, but he's charmed on up. Mobility throwing down the Feather Storm, looking for a big pullback, but they will be able to kite away in time. Trevor is stuck in the pit and will be stabbed through the heart by Trickster, as Faisal now stuck with 4 members on the other side of the map. Can he take out Chookies? He cannot. Mobility puts him in the ground.
Yup, and Mobility, another kill going over to him. This Xayah now starting to get a lot of gold under their belt. 4, 2, and 4. Has the Kraken Slayer complete. You can see the BF sword is in the inventory. Mid lane tower going down, though, as Team Fish Taco managed to get that. But I have a feeling they're going to return it as the Herald has been started up. And honestly, it doesn't feel like there's much Team Fish Taco can do. They keep on fighting, but they keep on losing.
Yeah, Winnie going to keep it on going to find Sword isolated. The team is coming in for the backup, though, and no cease and desist is available. Winnie, he doesn't think better of it. He's diving forward. He'll take anybody that he can punch in the face.
No,
as the rest of the team now have found Trickster, pulled back away by the handshake, and Winnie not quite able to connect with the punch. But this is going to be Rift Herald for Team Fish Taco, and Quacks. Look, the kills look abysmal, but they're only down less than 2k gold.
Yeah, somehow Team Fish Taco threw it all through the literal 5 minutes of team deathmatch we have been witnessing here in this game 1. They still have a chance to come back. They still get the Herald, which will generate them more gold.
Oh, Trickster maybe going in a little bit too deep there. Does dodge out on the piercing arrow. Nice dodge on the Cataclysm from Winnie. The mechanical play, so crucial for Team Fish Taco in this game. They could have been so much further behind had they not found these outplays.
Yeah, but now Dragon being started out for Winthrop University. But Young, crucially the star player of Team Fish Taco, is 1-3-1 on the LeBlanc.
Another dodge from Winnie.
Man, this guy just has too much fancy feet.
Not being able to find anything. They've now expended 2 big team fight ultimates on towards the Vi, and she has just skipped right past them with that Vault Breaker. Nothing to be found on this side of the map, but as you said, Young continues the split push up there. In the long run, this is going to be a trade of that Dragon for that turret, unless Winthrop can find a way to get onto this bottom one, and TFT, they're putting the resources in to defend it.
Yep, absolutely. They're making sure that this bot lane is fortified, but Young crucially just trying so hard to get any kind of gold he can on the LeBlanc because the last few minutes have been lackluster for him at best. We got to fight here in the bot lane.
Back out. Here comes Winnie on the side, going to have everything focused onto him. There's the hostile takeover, going to be guaranteed on a Denethor. Everything thrown at the Camille. There's going to be that ultimate to try to escape, but Winnie's going to be the first one to fall. Trickster falling low as well. Faisal trying to fight it out, but it's Mobility's damage, untouched in the fight, chucking feathers into Team Fish Taco, picking up a triple kill.
And 80's dream fulfilled there by Mobility as he manages to pick up a triple like you said, Gordo, and the Xayah is running absolute circles around Team Fish Taco. Another win going through forward to WU, but here's the replay. You can see that Faisal was forced to kind of back out of the fight on the engage with Trickster, and all of the resources with the hostile takeover, they go onto the Camille, but he manages to save himself with the immunity from the ultimate plus the flash. They had invested so much in trying to kill Denethor, and it didn't pay off, and at the end of the day, they had nothing left in the tank for the remaining members of Winthrop, and Mobility just wipes the floor with the rest of them. Young can only watch as his team gets eviscerated.
And I think that's showing a little bit of the new player syndrome here for Team Fish Taco. They're not on the exact same page. As Winnie's coming in on the flank, Faisal commits the ultimate.
Oh my God, not again.
Now he has neither, as he's caught out in the jungle, falling once again. Mobility going to take the kill credit, going unstoppable now as Trevor has to flash away from Sword's follow-up engage. Winthrop University taking every opportunity they can find.
Yeah, but now they're going on to the Baron. Herald has been dropped, so they have to take this quickly to make sure that Shelly doesn't break open too much of their base. Winnie is here. There's not a ward there.
Coming in over the wall, going to have to go in. The steal, doesn't find it. It goes to Mobility, and so are all of these kills. They're going to pick up Winnie over the wall. Chookies is falling low as Array tries to kite backwards, but knows that that Xayah is not far away, and they are going to be able to get a knock up on towards Trevor. Hostile takeover comes back on through, focusing the damage back on towards Trickster, but Array is now face to face with Denethor, and Denethor's got the damage to push him back. Young, Trevor, and Array all at sub 500 HP, all pushed back. Everybody trying to scrape anything back they can find, but Team Fish Taco gets nothing.
Yeah, a little bit overzealous there, I want to say, from Winthrop University. It felt like they were going a little bit too deep, specifically the Jarvan. But yeah, they managed to find themselves a kill, a Baron, and they're looking to close this game out. A good little take there from mobility. Of all people, the junglers don't actually get it. But crucially enough, I think Shuki's is worth mentioning here. Winnie is all alone in the pit because this Rakan is distracting the rest of the team from trying to go and help out the Vi. And he gets out with just the hair of his chinny chin as we got more fighting.
Yeah, there's going to be Young already having the passive popped, already pushed back, support down as well. And nothing can be staged for Team Fish Taco. Winnie and Faisal not even present as their base gets cracked open.
Yup, and they're going to manage to find an inhibitor for themselves. The siege from Winthrop University's comp is starting to show. Azir is so good at getting turrets. Same goes for the Camille. And yeah, once you group those up, your base stands no chance, and they're just going to move on down to the bot lane and try and do the same thing.
Looking to try to defend their base. There's going to be Winnie looking for the fight, diving in towards Sword, immunes his way through the shuffle. Sword flashes back away, but he's got Faisal chasing him down with the Q3. It's a 1-for-1 as Young executes down the mid laner, but they're looking for more. The focus has got to be on towards Denethor. He's thrown down the Hextech ultimatum. He's keeping Faisal in place, and Faisal can't get the return damage that he needs. Trevor down as well as Young is pushed back and away as Array arrives to the play here to try to turn something around. Mobility not even present for the fight, and it just doesn't matter. Denethor will bring all the damage you need.
But here comes Trickster.
Trickster gets another, and no chance for Array either. It's an ace for Winthrop University. Team Fish Taco cannot find their fight.
Yup, Winthrop University, 10k gold ahead when we were just saying about 5 minutes ago, Gordo, how close the gold lead was despite the kills from Winthrop University. But these last few minutes have shown otherwise. They have been taking this game by storm. Every single fight that has been initiated by Team Fish Taco has been met with more force from Winthrop, and they have just managed to completely storm this game open 26 minutes in. And they are looking to close out game one.
And they should be able to do it. Winthrop with a great showing here in game number one. We talked with Mobility after their win last week, and he is confident in this league. He thinks they're the best team, bar none. No heed paid to Team Fish Taco. And showing that that wasn't all talk here, showing up huge in game number one with a chance to make it to those grand finals right here, right now.
Yup, absolutely. And now you can definitely tell that Mobility and Denethor are just going to be able to run this game open. You have so much peel, so much frontline and engage with the Jarvan and Rakan combo.
Absolutely. Here, this Azir has been made so useful. Even on a low economy game for Sword, he has made it work. He's found ways to get the engages off, to pair on up with Trickster, and to enable Denethor and Mobility to be the biggest threats on the map. Team Fish Taco now losing more structures. Denethor lurking on the bottom side flank as Winthrop University looks for the closeout. Denethor is going to show as he picks on up this wave. This could be the shot that TFT need to take a fight 5v4, but Winthrop wisely backing away, getting themselves the space they need.
Yup, absolutely. And before a fight starts out here, I definitely want to point out the absolute insanity of Winthrop University. We talked about it in draft, how important it was to mitigate Young's impact, and they absolutely did that.
Oh, Array just blown up by Denethor with the precision protocol. They're going to be able to get one back, or are they just completely wiped? Our Team Fish Taco, a double kill goes to Sword, and that's all she wrote for game number one. Quacks Winthrop University going to crush the Team Fish Tacos squad in game number one.
Not even 30 minutes in Winthrop University, 33-8 and kills, absolute destruction after a few stints in the very early game. Winthrop University almost uncontested in the mid to late game, take game one by storm.
What a dominant showing here from the collegiate squad, saying, hey, this is the future of North America here, and we'll show it to you right here, right now, running over some of these academy veterans.
Yup, absolutely. And I mean, just look at this last fight. The damage coming out from Winthrop University. There's nothing Team Fish Taco can do. They are absolutely outclassed, outdamaged. There's nothing to be had. They can't even get a kill back. It wasn't even close. And yeah, a convincing game one from Winthrop University in what many predicted to be a very, very close series.
Yeah, I think the cards are still on the table for it to be close. We saw a very competitive early game there. We saw some really good mechanical play. I do think more focus, though, needs to be paid towards that mid lane. Diazir was able to be way, way too useful there for Sword. You can see that Young was able to get himself a tiny advantage, but it just ended up not meaning enough. And the matchups across the rest of the board, they are just so unfavorable. The lane dominance of the Xayah Rakan, hard favoring mobility and Chookies, and Denethor counter picking this Camille running the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the first step to getting more investment for Team Fish Taco, getting more investment onto Young, is going to start with the support role. It really felt like Renata wasn't able to help this LeBlanc or roam with this Vi to attempt to assist the lanes at all in this game. It felt like it really was just stuck with the Varus, and this bot lane was really quickly shut out from Team Fish Taco. It felt like Winthrop really took that bot lane and just ran it through from start to finish. So this Renata was not able to really make a splash in any of the lanes, and I think that that was a crucial thing that Team Fish Taco were lacking in this first game that really hindered their ability to take any kind of leads they got in mid lane and further it later in the game.
Yeah, we'll see how they're going to be able to turn that around coming into game number 2. We're going to throw it to a quick break while that draft gets set up. But first, we want to shout out Coachify. Coachify is a commission-free esports coaching platform currently in open beta. You can become a coach today. You can inspire your students to succeed, and you can turn your passion for gaming into a career. Check out the panel located below the stream for their website and for more information. Thanks again to Coachify for sponsoring this season of the ACL. We're going to a quick break. We'll be right back for draft number 2. Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Champions League, where we have got ourselves a game number 2 between Winthrop University and Team Fish Taco. Starting in just a few minutes, Winthrop University continuing their dominant run here, have not dropped a game in quite a while here, Quacks, and look like they're not going to start anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, game one was, for lack of a better word, a pretty big stomp after, I want to say, around 7 to 8 minutes. It felt like through Young, Team Fish Taco had a chance with some fancy feet on the LeBlanc. But after that lead was sort of diminished by Winthrop University, it felt like they were just going for pick after pick, targeting player after player, and catching out so many members of Team Fish Taco. So I think something fundamentally definitely has to change here in game 2, because Winthrop has shown that they can play the map incredibly well, and it's going to be up to Team Fish Taco to try and match that or mitigate the ability for some of those more map-oriented roles to continue traversing around places they shouldn't be able to, or they shouldn't be able to.
I completely agree with you there, and I do think you can really trace it all the way back to the level 1, right, where immediately resources get blown out from Mobility and Shookies. They are late to arriving to the lane. That ends up giving up the blue buff to an invade from Trickster, or sorry, it's Ray and Trevor who are late to arrive to the lane. Mobility and Shookies force out the summoners. That opens up for a buff steal from Trickster. It sets up what is going to be a dominant laning phase for Mobility and Shookies. It weakens Trevor and his ability to roam around and influence lanes like mid. You can see he's trying on that Renata, but he's like level 2 trying to make a play up against Sword. It's just not going to end up working out that way. So I really do think that early game snowballed very heavily in favor of Winthrop, and good on them to do that. The Team Fish Taco should be able to adapt and should be able to try to avoid those kinds of situations coming into game number 2.
Yep, absolutely. As we are going into draft here, immediately there are some adaptations. Winthrop University are on red side this game, and they are not going to give Team Fish Taco the chance to go for that Jarvan. So that is taken off the table, along with Team Fish Taco hindering a little bit of Mobility's champion pool, right? Taking away the Kalista, taking away the Xayah, making sure that he isn't as online as he was in game 1, because like you talked about, Gordo, that initial turret dive onto the bot lane was what really set Mobility up for success, and that train was never derailed in game 1, and it's something that I think Team Fish Taco need to be aware of, and clearly with the Xayah ban, I think that they're aware of it.
Definitely. As the Varus ban going to come on through as well, trying to pinch away some of those safe bot lane options. Team Fish Taco going to take that Orianna first chance they get. They want to give that over to Young and give him the most power to carry possible. Still such a really high prio mid laner. They're going to be happy to get it in their hands.
Yep, and it looks like Winthrop University are hovering around the Syndra with the new and improved splash art that I absolutely love. But yeah, this is a tried and true mage matchup if this goes through. This is a tale as old as time, Orianna versus Syndra on 2 mid laners that everyone thinks is really good. Sword coming back from a role swap onto the support role to prove once and for all and remind everyone that he is in fact one of the top tier 2 mid laners in the scene. And Young again trying to prove his dominance, prove that he can be destined for greater things, can go up to LCS like a lot of people have been saying with something like the Orianna. This mid matchup with those 2 locked in is going to be very exciting to see.
And going really early, indexing towards one of these scaling bot laners. They say, hey, look, there's no Varus, there's no Kalista, there's no Xayah. We're playing for scaling right now. No other options that we think are worthwhile to go through to try to play aggressively through the bot lane. Let's see if TFT believe the same, but they're saving their bot lane for later. They go Sejuani, Jax. They want to get Faisal on one of these split push carries, and they want to make sure that he's going to be supported with that Sejuani. Always good for the melee laners.
Yeah, I mean, Jax is a really good blind pick into a lot of the meta top laners of today's age. Has really reliable side lane pressure as well, an aspect of the game that I think isn't too heavily focused on in the higher up echelons of pro play. But yeah, as we continue to go on to the draft, it looks like Winthrop University are going to counter pick that Jax or try to match that Jax pick along with the Jace. So this is a skill matchup. This is a very aggressive matchup here in the top lane, and one that I think both junglers are definitely going to be keen on visiting once or twice in the early game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I do think that they have a lot of faith in Denethor's ability to play top lane up against any opponent, but especially Faisal after that game number 1 where he was so successful on his Camille counter pick. It's going to open up an opportunity now for Team Fish Taco to pinch the jungle pool. They've got their Sejuani already locked on in. Winthrop instead going to choose to focus on the bot lane pool. They are still looking at some of these aggressive bot laners to ban away in the Caitlyn and then a scaling one in the Jinx. So fewer and fewer options available for Array. And we're going to see something brand new out of him. He's only been in the ACL for about a week now. This is his second series on Team Fish Taco. In that previous series, he played Jinx and he played Xayah. Neither of those going to be available here. He played his Varus last game. That's gone as well. But what else does he have in the tank to show us?
I definitely think that Zeri is a possibility. It's a champion that's really good with Orianna being able to get into the middle of the team fight with that ultimate and having the ball on you, along with being good with Sejuani, being able to proc those Sejuani E's constantly over and over. That's one thing Zeri is really good at, and I think it could, it's a possible point of synergy here for Team Fish Taco, depending on how they want to play the game, because you already are expected to play around this top lane. So it's a question of how much do you want to give Winnie to go around the map, to go to top lane and bot lane. Could take a lot out of the Sejuani, but Winthrop University going to pick up that jungler and the Nocturne of all champions. I love this pick. This champion is so good right now and no one uses him.
I do love me some Nocturne, and that's going to be the pick for Trickster here, seeing a lot of the jungle pool pinched away from him. Senna Tom Kench coming through for Team Fish Tigers. Hey, ban all the bot laners in the world. We're going to go for something a little bit less traditional. Love to see this one coming on through here. It's a little bit nerfed, but not nearly enough to not be a viable selection here. And they are going to be taking that up against Aphelios and whatever Winthrop can bring to the table. I do wonder if we see something a little bit focused on the anti-shielding here. You can go for stuff like the Blitzcrank here, or you can go all in on scaling and enchanter style play. The Soraka getting covered for Chookies. It's locked in.
That is a really interesting B5 coming out from Winthrop University. It definitely feels like they're going to be putting a lot of resources into this Aphelios by locking that in. They're going to keep the Soraka in the laning phase and make sure that this Aphelios is as healthy as possible. And I would expect a lot of jungle presence in this bot lane as well. You cannot let Tom Kench and Senna scale up into that late game. This is a late game that you just cannot fight, and it's such a difficult thing to deal with. Hell, the entire team of Team Fish Taco is a scary late game comp. Making sure that you can mitigate some of those carries is going to be Winthrop University's main objective here in game 2.
I completely agree with you there, and there's going to be so many different carries coming through from Team Fish Taco as well. Feels like this team comp goes in a lot of directions, right? They've got that really powerful team fighting duo there with Orianna and that Sejuani. They've also got Jax, who they're going to be looking to have some split push power with, and then the scaling with this Senna and Tom Kench in the bottom lane. Lots of different ways they can play here, lots of different lanes for Winnie to visit if he so desires. I do like the selection of Senna Tom Kench, particularly with the Sejuani, so you can go in, you can use that melee support to proc the Sejuani lockdown just a little bit more effectively with the permafrost. But meanwhile on Winthrop, right, they scale so effectively as well. They've got this Soraka coming on into the later game as long as they can keep her safe, and then Aphelios and Syndra, two of some of the most powerful scaling carries in the game for them to be able to focus on and get enabled as long as they don't fall too far behind the TFT.
Yeah, absolutely. Winthrop University have really good scalings, but the main worry I have for Winthrop is that they don't have, outside of Aphelios, they don't have a lot of ways to get through this front line. Jax, Tom Kench, and Sejuani are all incredibly tanky. Trying to get to this Senna and Orianna is going to prove incredibly difficult as the game continues to go on. So I'm really looking at TFT to mitigate this Aphelios as early as possible and make sure that that 3 to 4 item spike where Aphelios can start to really rip through tanks, rip through front lines, cannot be reached to the point where it's possible for a comeback. I think that's probably going to be Fish Taco's main objective. Just making sure that mobility isn't ahead is an objective in and of itself, because of game 1. What we saw from mobility when he is ahead is scary enough, and you have more cause here in game 2, I would say, to make sure this Aphelios can't go online.
Yeah, and really, mobility has just been unstoppable over these last couple of weeks. His performance on stream against Peach Cats was absolutely incredible, showing up against some of the most powerful bot lanes duos that we have in the ACL here, up against Wixie and Isles, it was last week, and now up against Array and Trevor, showing up again in that first game, winning from level 1 onwards and never really letting his grip waver over the game. That Xayah was so powerful for Winthrop in that first game, and Now it's got to be the name of the game to try to shut down this Aphelios, to try to prevent mobility from scaling and being that powerful force later. And they still have the Jace from Denethor. They still have the Syndra from Sword to play through, but plan A is always mobility, and I think Team Fish Taco need to start paying him the respect he deserves. He got too many free plates, too much of a free lane in game number 1.
And honestly, it feels like Team Fish Taco could do what happened to them in game 1 with mobility, right? You have Tom Kench, who is amazing at eating tower aggro, Sejuani, who is able to stun up and potentially burn a cleanse instantly from this Aphelios. There's a lot of potential for a dive onto this bot lane just looking at this Team Fish Taco comp, and it's something I wouldn't be surprised if they try to play for in the early game. But yeah, with that being said, I think Winthrop University, their main role in this game as well, just has to be playing, like you said, Gordo, through mobility, making sure that he can operate on a similar playing field to everyone else, that he isn't behind and that he can have a comfortable game too, because that is exactly how they won game 1.
That is exactly how they won game number 1, and going to have to show a little bit more different from Team Fish Taco here. I do think the mid lane's another place to look for, right? I think most people's assumptions coming into today's game is that Young is the superior laner. Young is going to end up having more carry potential than Sword. He's been such a hype prospect since or over the course of the last year since he's entered the NACL, and has continued to prove that those expectations and those high valuations are justified. A lot of people had him on their short list for potential players moving up into the LCS, and had circumstances been different, it's very possible he could have been in there. This is compared up against Sword, who's really just only recently swapped back over to mid lane, right? Was playing support for a couple of seasons there, and now is trying to make the move back. He's been very, very good up against the competition here in ACL, and showing even in NACL qualifiers that he can still tussle with some of the best of them. But the assumption would be that Young is on another level. He was able to get 1 kill last game in a 1-for-1 trade that the jungler initiated. He's got to show me a little bit more here in game number 2.
Yeah, I definitely think that it is up to Sword to step up, especially because you are going on to a champion like Syndra, who wants to make a lot of plays, who wants to get a lot of picks, and that can be the start for initiation for the rest of your team. So looking at the positioning specifically from Sword is going to be important. Where this Syndra is during fights, during skirmishes, I think is really going to be the determining factor of how well this Syndra can operate and how long she can stay alive in these eventual, probably explosive late game team fights that I think are going to make game 1 look like a tiny little children's fight in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, we had nonstop fighting all game, and game number 1 was could barely stop talking. There was so much action going back and forth. Both junglers, I think, especially are the most guilty of this, right? They were throwing themselves at every target that they saw all game long. I think in theory you would think they would pull back on that a little bit in game number 2, right? The Sejuani doesn't have the solo damage the way that like a Vi or a Jarvan does. The Nocturne, I mean, he can ultimate, but that's got a 2-minute cooldown. You can't just do that every single time you see somebody. So I do expect it to be a little bit quieter in that department, but then again, these teams have just been taking every fight they've got. We've got a super aggressive dually top lane matchup. We got mage versus mage in mid lane, where both can try to push for skill-based advantages. We very well may still see a crazy amount of action in this game number 2.
Yup, absolutely. And I think that is all going to start in the early game. Like you said, the junglers, you expect them to be more laid back, especially the Nocturne, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of fighting in the early game, just for the heck of it. Honestly, it felt like just for the heck of it was the motto of game 1. Who's to say it won't be the same for game 2?
Yeah, very well could be here. Checking in around the league, although around the league it's getting to be a smaller and smaller box, and this is going to be the last day where there's multiple games being played simultaneously. Mirage Alliance up 1-0 over Peach Cats right now, so that has big implications for this series as well. The loser of this series will face the winner of that series in the lower finals on Monday, and then the winner of that will go on to face the winner of this series in those grand finals. So we're down to our last 4 teams, and these 2, at least one of them, will be in the grand finals. Both teams looking to guarantee that it's going to be them, and based on what we saw in game number 1, Winthrop looking like they have a very, very solid chance up against a squad that we had pegged as the favorite to win the whole thing from day number 1, right? When we did group draw, TDS, myself, and Flay were all talking about who our favorites were to win the whole league, and gotta believe the majority opinion was Team Fish Taco. I know my opinion was Team Fish Taco. And it might be a different squad now than it was them, but I still think that opinion's got to hold the same. There's just so much talent on this roster. I have to see if they're going to be able to show it as we get into game number 2. Let's get onto the Rift right now.
Yep, no breaks. We are here on to the Rift. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, everybody. As we have the players spawning in. We don't expect any level 1 shenanigans, but Gordo, you and I know better. We know how much people like to fight. As, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I mean, it was that level 1 that I think set the stage for the whole game in game number 1, where Mobility and Chookies were able to find a great trade onto Array and Trevor. A level 1 like that could very well spell so much influence over the rest of the game in this game number 2. See, Winnie and Trickster, though, they spot each other, they see what's going on, and neither is going to be able to push too far into the other's territory.
Yep, absolutely. And looking at runes here, I think it is worth noting that Sword actually decided to go for the Arcane Comet on the Syndra. Syndra has a lot of different rune keystone choices that she can go. A lot of people will expect to go for the first strike, but against a champion like Orianna, who is notorious for the poke with the ball, I think that going Comet is really smart of Sword here in game 2.
Yeah, gonna be looking for some of those more aggressive trades. I do like not just autopiloting towards something like the first strike. It's gonna be tough to strike Young first. That's just the long and short of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of folks do still end up taking those picks no matter what. This is gonna be a good choice for Sword, I do think. The laning phase is going to start on off here. Looks like both junglers going to start in their own territory. That ward on the Raptors did end up coming through for Team Fish Taco, though, so they're going to likely catch a glimpse of where Trickster is.
Yeah, they probably can assume that Trickster started in the bot side, given that he didn't go up when that ward was placed. Unless Trickster decided to do some fancy thing and go around with the blast cone, it's pretty safe to assume that he is starting on the bot side, and I think Team Fish Taco acknowledged that. But yeah, both junglers probably just going to look for as early of a clear as humanly as healthy of a clear as humanly possible. Obviously, Nocturne wants to go for that full clear. Could see some deviation from Sejuani, maybe wanting to look mid lane though.
Now, Sword getting the first one to tick level 2 there, though, and is going to find himself a nice trade up against Young. Young, of course, going to be taking quite a bit of damage here, shielding himself up as best he can, be able to keep that health bar as high as possible. Yeah, both of these junglers, you know, at least compared to the game number 1 junglers, they're both really looking to get to that level 6. That's where their best gank potential is going to show itself. So do expect a little bit of harder farming. Although, as I say that, Winnie is making a play in mid. It's looking like it might be a 2v2 breaking out, but Sword is going to get pushed further back. They're still going on to him, though. Winnie looking to be able to pick up this kill. Sword very close to falling on down, but Trickster going to be able to chase them back as Young now wants to strike back. One more auto will get the stun coming on through, but a crucial spell shield will save Trickster's life.
And now Trickster has to be really careful. He's super low health, but you can see Winnie trying to go for aggressive, meet him at the red buff. And he does have the top lane priority to back it up.
Mobility pushed onto the wrong side of the map, but getting nice damage onto Array. Heal gonna come on through, using that piercing darkness. Now they can focus towards Chookies, who's not gonna get the health back that he wants. Stunned up by the tongue lash, flashing to safety, but Trevor wants
Chookies.
blood. He sees Chookies in the river, and Array is one shot away from taking him down. Array has to flash after one more auto will finally get him the first blood, as now catching out Trickster in the jungle. Winnie gonna call over Faisal for the backup, and that kill's gonna come on through as the top laner's now duking it out, but Faisal thinks better of his decision to keep the fight going. Flash in from Winnie. They need the stun, but Sword is going to turn it all around over the wall to pick up the kill on the jungler, and now over the wall goes Denethor trying to clean up Faisal. One more swing should take him down, and Denethor claims his first kill.
A less aggressive a game we said was most probable, but 4 kills have graced the Rift 4 minutes into the game. Both teams, they have not changed despite the comps changing themselves. They are looking for blood, and blood will spill as both teams are going at each other's throats here in game 2.
The violence is never ending. Both junglers getting involved, both mid laners getting out of their lanes, both top laners getting out of their lanes, and this top side fight is not over yet. Array has moved himself up towards the top side of the map, and that's going to be a numbers disadvantage for Winthrop. Trickster going to be the first target. He gets stunned on up, and the spell shield is too late. Charging forward now is Winnie, but he can't get on top of him without the flash. Nobody's got access to summoner spells, and that means Trickster's out to safety.
Yup, and this means that Trevor has been all on his lonesome this entire time. So this Tom Kench has been just the product of abuse coming here from Chukis and from Array. But we look at the replay here. Trickster, the flash to save his life. Over all of that, he still had that summoner spell up, and it manages to save his life. As if he didn't have the flash there, that was likely a dead Nocturne.
Very likely was here, as Trevor's still doing a good job of trying to keep his CS up and trying to dive on in there. The silence from Chookies, very crucial there, but that last embrace going to find mobility one way or the other. Now he's stunned on up by the Chung Lash. He is going to have to flash, but decides better of it, knows he's not getting out one way or the other, and Array picks up the kill. Now Chookies, without the summoner spells either, he's going to tank the chain CC as well, and Array and Trevor coming into game number 2. They strike back with a 2 versus 2 double kill.
And we talked about the importance of mobility in this game. Getting him ahead was what Team Fish Taco did not want. They wanted to get him behind, and behind he is. Denethor taking control.
Oh, but that's going to be a 1-for-1. The aftershock does not last long enough, just a little bit separated in their timing, and it will give a kill back over to Denethor, but still, this is going to be a lot of CS denied. No TP available for that Jace, and this is going to be a free plate to Faisal. Oh!
Yeah, but... Oh! Okay, he's okay.
He's fine.
Not worried there.
He's good.
But yeah, crucially, Winnie going down there, not as big of a deal as Denethor losing so much CS, but he has gotten his Raptors taken away. You can see the Dragon started up, so there are still consequences to Winnie's death, and he's still level 3 going into this fight.
Yeah, Snare coming on up. This is a 3 versus 4, but they'll take it. A double knockup from Trevor, and Trickster is off the map. Sword now incredibly low, has to hide back behind his team. Mobility does not want to say die, but Team Fish, Taco, they got the numbers, they got the health bars. They're going to get the Dragon.
Yup, and through all of the aggression, the first objective will be claimed 7 minutes into the game. It's nice to have an Ocean Soul, especially given current climate, the current fighting, the constant fighting, I should say, of this game. Having that Ocean Soul intact should be really nice to just have in the back of your pocket. But yeah, for the most part, team's just going to go back to normal. Team Fish Taco coming out on top here in game 2 through all of the commotion.
And they've already got a 2K gold lead. I mean, that was the highest that Winthrop made it for about 20 minutes there until they blew open the whole dang game. They're going to be hoping to do the same here as it starts to take over into mid and late, where Winthrop was so dominant the first time around. But yeah, the level 1, the early game now swinging back into Team Fish Taco's favor, and the biggest recipient of that has been Array. Picking up 3 early kills on the Senna has been so valuable for them to be able to get that Umbral Glaive early and dominate the Vision game.
Yeah, and I mean, having this backliner of the Senna be so strong this early on is just going to get worse, I feel, for Winthrop University to deal with. We talked about it in the draft, but the front line that Team Fish Taco have managed to draft is so good at protecting the backliners of Young and Array, and a 3-0 Senna already. It's looking pretty bad for Winthrop University. It's going to be up to them to try and shut down Senna as soon as possible.
It absolutely is, and going to try to get themselves a little bit of somewhere to be able to pull themselves back and get themselves a point of power to play around. Denethor already 2-1, certainly feeling strong, and going to be a potential gank coming on in here from the Nocturne, holding on to that paranoia. When he's in the area, though, they are going to spot him. Do they want to 2v2 this? They're going to dive in on towards Faisal. Faisal throws down the ultimate for the extra tankiness, but he will get feared. He will get shock blasted, and he will drop to Trickster. Now Denethor turning it back towards Winnie, knowing that he's outnumbered, knowing that he's outgunned. Young coming back over the wall to try to dissuade any opportunities. The dissonance movement speed will get Winnie out of there.
Yup, absolutely. But Trickster might not be done yet. He's entering the jungle.
Yeah, and now look at how far away Young is. No chance. Stolen away by Trickster. Winnie trying to find his jump over the wall as he is feared, but he's got to be worried about incoming shock blast. Sword is coming out as well, and this jungle quadrant belongs to Winthrop University.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a pretty menial advantage, I would say, for Winthrop University. They get the blue buff, but there is no Herald to be taken away. At the end of the day, it is just one camp denied away from Winnie, who was already playing incredibly low econ. I mean, the guy literally has only one full clear's worth of CS 10 minutes into the game.
Only one full clear's worth is certainly correct here. And this is funny because it's actually the opposite of what we saw in game number 1, where Winnie was the one actually with a big CS lead, while Trickster was focusing on getting ganks off with the Jarvan. But yeah, the nature of the Nocturne, right, is you farm so quickly and you are just racing towards that level 6. He's done a great job of that here and finds himself at a 2-level advantage over Winnie. And now looking to visit top lane once again. No paranoia, no problem. Knows that Denethor can bring on in the damage. Gonna smack him back deeper into the lane. And now here comes Trickster looking for the Duskbringer. Doesn't connect, but they've got the cutoff on towards Faisal. And he's gonna have to find a way to jump on into the Baron pit. Does get out of there. Tanks a shock blast, but should hold on to his life.
Yep, manages to get out, didn't have the flash, and still managed to take some of Trickster's time. Now this is going to give Winnie an opening to go into Trickster's jungle and take away some camps for himself, which he desperately needs at this point. They're looking for a dive, actually.
Yeah, looking to make something happen. Flash away from Young in the mid lane. It's now the dive going to break on out. Chunky's going to be the first target getting focused, but the teleport is coming on in. Wish will keep the health bars high for now as Trevor devours up Winnie to safety, but that's going to keep up the shutdown from Array. Denethor picks up 1 kill, and he's looking for more blood as mobility slows him down with the Gravitum and sets up for this Jace to cash out. Chasing down the Tom Kench with the heals coming on through. Will it be enough, though? Dawning Shadow keeps them safe, keeps those health bars high enough to survive. Trickster is going to look to clean up himself now. Moving on forward in janitor duty as he focuses on towards the Tom Kench. Healing still coming on through. Stun going to be landed. Array arrives to play with the piercing darkness to turn it back around. Denethor's not done, though. He advances forward and it's pushed back out. There's the abyssal dive from Trevor, who knows that they're stronger now. Mobility gonna get gunned down by the respawned Array.
Yeah, and an over chase. Actually, Trickster manages to get 1 final kill onto Winnie.
Array's not done. Array's still advancing forward. He's going to find Trickster coming on out of the bush. Feared back away, but Young is here for the extra damage, and Young takes down Nocturne, takes down Denethor, and secures himself a double kill.
The DSG, the NACL 2023 summer winner, Young gets a double kill, his first kills of the game, and this Orianna is online, ladies and gentlemen.
Really good stuff there from Young. Really good stuff there from the whole team to buy time for the backup to arrive, as this is going to be a long replay, Quacks.
Yep, absolutely, but I am prepared. You can see the flash Q coming in here from Winnie. They managed to pick up Chukies, but at the end of the day, Winnie is just taken so low, forces Trevor to devour him instead of Array, which is honestly the most important target. You can see the shutdown going over to Denethor, and that is already a worth enough trade, but they keep on going. They want more kills, and they can try to get Trevor, but he's so tanky with the thick skin keeping him alive. And yeah, then Trickster just underestimates the healing, the CC power of the Tom Kench plus the Sejuani, and is taken low enough for Array to come back, respawn into the fight, and there's nothing he can do. Forces to get out, almost dies, barely even took health off of Trevor in that entire exchange. As the fight continues to go on.
Yeah, I mean, the Tom Kench tankiness is just nuts here. The healing that he gets from each and every tongue lash connecting, it buys them the time for Array to arrive, and then Array, he knows he's got Young in his back. He's ready to clean up whatever he can find. Winnie, maybe getting a little big for his britches there, just assumes that they're all giving up, but it is going to cost them more than they get as they end up getting both Trickster and Sword cleaned on up. Here's gonna be the dive coming through onto Young. He's got access to Shockwave, but no time to use it. Denethor cleans him up as now Winnie's setting up to dive the bot lane again. It's all about focusing mobility, and focusing mobility they will. Chookies and mobility are destroyed in the bottom lane as Winnie picks himself up 2 more.
Yup, 2 consecutive tower dives by opposite teams, and nothing the team getting dove can do about it. Advantages coming across the board for both teams, but Array now 6-1. This Senna getting more souls by the second.
Now Trickster again, just losing so much of his health. This Tom Kench Senna, they're just so accelerated. They're so strong in these fights, and they do not even really care about the turrets. As long as Trevor's tanking, he'll walk on out, he'll heal back up with a thick skin, and they are going to pick up first turret gold.
Yep, and now with Array and Trevor being unlocked, the Herald has respawned. So I have to imagine this is the next thing that Team Fish Taco want to aim for with that unlocked lane. Try to crack open the mid and just unlock more of the map and accelerate the game further.
Yeah, no, and it's going to be now setting up for this Rift Herald. Ward already going to be present from Winthrop, so they know where it is. They know what's going on. As Denethor finds himself a great trade up against Faisal. Faisal, with a ill-advised trade, dives in and gets smacked for it.
Yup, and now Faisal is completely cut off of trying to join anything cross-map as the wave is pushing in, and he is actually going to be the one on the receiving end of a dive.
He's doomed. He's going to dive back into the minions, but Denethor is going to be able to take him down with the To The Skies. The rest of TFT looking to collapse, but appear to be a little bit too late to the play. Even with that command dissonance speeding them up, they cannot collapse in time. And Winthrop University, they do take down the top laner. They do get more gold into Denethor.
Yep, and now with the Herald in tow, it looks like they're going to try and push a lead a little bit further. You can see them pinching Sword and Chukies. They're in trouble.
Oh, a really great dive set up, a double shockwave and execute onto Chukies as Trickster pops the paranoia to try to turn it back around, but this turret is going down, and the Dawning Shadow pierces two members of Winthrop and secures a double kill for Array. Denethor, the one who all the gold's been going on to, is not long for the world, and Team Fish Taco are gonna blow this game wide open.
The Dawning Shadow that silenced Winthrop University in Game 2 put them in the dark, and we got a replay for you. Like you said, Gordo, beautiful shockwave coming in, followed up by the Glacial Prison. Sword forced to go on the run, and Trickster just completely alone. By the time the Herald charged, he was too low, lined up perfectly. Click, click, boom, and we got more fighting.
They're not done yet. It doesn't matter that they've still got damage on him. It doesn't matter they don't have the cooldowns, and maybe they should have thought better of it. His sword has teleported in from behind, and TFT are going to be thoroughly punished for their over-aggression. A double kill back over to Mobility as Winthrop University, they are not done with this game yet.
Yup, Winthrop trying to fight back. Beautiful TP coming out there from Sword, and right before the dragon spawned, so the timing is really good for them as well. This can be their chance to potentially set up vision around that pit, try and potentially contest this fight if they want to, but they have to be really careful of that shock wave. We saw how much damage that did when Young used it in that top lane dive. So Winthrop University, they have a choice to make on whether or not to contest this dragon.
They really do. This would be Soul Point going on over to Team Fish Taco, but can you really assemble the resources to really be able to take this fight? You're not going to have access to the ultimates on your carries, and they've already got 3 members up around the top side. They've already made their call. They are giving up this Soul Point, but can they kill Young on the other side? He's going to have to try to shockwave to stay alive, blocked by Trickster's spell shield. Well played, well calculated. Winthrop knew exactly what was going to happen, and they get themselves the topside turret.
Yup, beautiful spell shield coming out from Trickster, but now they have to frantically recall. They can see Trevor and Array in the mid lane trying to take down the rest of their base. The range on Array with the souls now 83 in number is starting to get too much potentially for Winthrop to handle. They cannot let them just take things for free.
They definitely cannot, and you can see on this replay, right? They go up way too far here. Team Fish Taco getting a little big for their britches. They cannot keep on forcing these things farther than they need to. They are in a very dominant position. And this dragon, it's still up. Are you kidding me? Trickster comes in with the steal, and he's going to be able to fall back to his team for help. Winnie just trying to push for more. Winnie and Trevor, they want the revenge. They want to clap back at Trickster, and they will take him down. Array finishes that one off, as now the rest of the squad, they have got to make that worth it. They are now so far away from the Dragon Soul, they've got to look to try to make it worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if I am Trickster, I'm going in the chat and I'm typing #worth for taking that dragon. This buys Winthrop University some time to make sure that that soul doesn't align with some of the spikes of Team Fish Taco, notably the Senna and her souls reaching 100, which is kind of where that was aiming to be, getting that soul at around that time. But now it's delayed by another 5 minutes, giving Winthrop University a chance to maybe come back into this game.
Yeah, stun connects onto Array, but the follow-up isn't quite there. Winnie and Trevor are so tanky, although Winnie gonna lose a lot of HP there, nearly connecting with the Moonlight Vigil, but not quite getting there. And Trickster expends the paranoia, anticipating that they would have been held in place by that Moonlight Vigil. The play does not work out in a knife's edge there, and Winthrop can't find their fight.
Yep, absolutely. And now Baron spawning in a few seconds here. The respawn's coming out from Team Fish Taco. Sorry, the reset's coming out here from Team Fish Taco. Most likely going to be looking for that. No paranoia, like we said, Gordo, for Trickster. So no easy way to get into this pit for the Nocturne. And this is a really good buff to have, especially with the Senna. This provides so much extra poke, and it makes it almost impossible for Winthrop to try and go for a play.
It really, really does. The Baron on the table now as Team Fish Taco are assembling on that side of the map, using their jacks for the split push pressure. Feeling like, hey, he's nearly on 2 items now, should be able to brawl up with the chase for at least a little while, as they want to choke out vision from Winthrop in their own red side jungle, and have done so. I mean, if you're Winthrop, look at how dark it is. They don't know where TFT is. They can't face check this.
Yeah, absolutely. They literally cannot walk up until the up position is on vision, but there is no vision anymore. They just destroyed the last little bit of light that they had on that top side. So Winthrop University are completely in the dark as the Baron is being started.
Oh, look at this flank being set up from Faisal. They know where every member of Winthrop is. They saw them on that ward. So the second they show on the other one, Faisal's going to be coming on in. Ward over the wall will spot Faisal onto the flank. The split push for Denethor will net them 1 turret, 1 objective bounty. Faisal's up too far. He's stunned up. He's blown up, and Sword makes the pick. Now down a member. Team Fish Taco are gonna have a 4 versus 4 for the Baron. Trickster looking to make the steal happen over the wall. He gets it again. Trickster does not miss those, and he will give his life proudly for Winthrop University.
The upgraded smite comes in clutch, but now the remaining members of Winthrop, they gotta run.
Now getting stunned on up, the scatter of the week going to buy them some space, but Chookies is left out to dry. He'll be the sacrificial lamb as Team Fish Taco clean him up, but they are left reeling as Winthrop get a huge buff to defend their base with.
Yup, the Dragon and now the Baron. Winthrop University, despite being down, they're only down 1k gold at this point, Gordo. We're 22 minutes into the game, and Winthrop are still holding on as a beautiful flash here from Trickster. It's a little bit of a shame that there was no potential for a follow-up to try and continue this fight, because it felt like there was an angle here for Winthrop, but at the end of the day, getting the Baron, they should just be grateful for that. An objective is an objective, and it manages to keep them alive in this game.
And Winthrop University fighting back here will not go quietly in game number 2. They want to keep their win streak alive. They have not dropped a game since the regular season here, Quacks. They are undefeated in the playoffs coming into these upper finals, and they do not want to take their first loss here. They want to get the full perfect bracket and keeping that dream alive here.
Yeah, and it's no surprise to see why they are undefeated since the regular season, right? Even just that pick onto Faisal netted them some gold, and then on top of that, getting the Baron. So they managed to get a good thing and make it better, as now the Dragon is spawning. Winthrop University are kind of pushed off in vision, similar to what happened last time.
Ooh, flash expended once again here. Winnie looking for the play. Does not find it, and Sword going to be without that summoner spell now for this upcoming Dragon fight. This could have been Soul, but the steal from Trickster means that it's less important than it would have been otherwise. And the teleport in, Winthrop University might look for the fight here. Faisal is far away. Young coming on up, got the slow on a Sword. Dawning Shadow going to take Sword low. And with Syndra low on HP, will that be enough for Winthrop to give up the objective?
But he does have the Baron empowered recall. He also has the teleport. He can just go right back into the fight.
He's so far away. They're trying to melt down the dragon, but their DPS on this is pretty low. Faisal still late to the play.
Oh,
A slowdown. Damage coming through onto Young. He's going to get sniped away. Here comes the paranoia. Young has to go into the stasis, but he manages to stay alive. Winnie now getting chunked away by mobility on the green and white. Trevor stuck, silenced, rooted, but manages to stand. Now melting on down to the follow-up from the carries of Winthrop as Trevor will be the first to fall. Faisal finally getting here on the side. Needs to find the flank as the remaining members kite on out. A second dragon goes to Winthrop. A snipe from Denethor claims Young as Denethor is looking to mark his name on Team Fish Taco's face. A full ace coming on through for Winthrop if Faisal can't get away.
Faisal is the only one to survive, and a second dragon coming out here for Winthrop University. They are now tied in that neutral objective, but they have the Baron, they have the wave. Sorry, they don't have the Baron, they just have the wave as that has expired, and they are looking to crack open this base. Winthrop, they were having a rough game. It felt like Team Fish Taco were the undisputed ones to take game 2, but Winthrop, they continue to fight back. They will not go quietly, Gordo.
Again and again, Team Fish Taco fumble it. Winthrop University sees every opportunity they get, and they fight back at the dragon again. They chunk out Young. They push back the tankier members of Team Fish Taco. They have the scaled up Aphelios with the green and white guns that keep on poking, and they are going to fight their way back into this game. They are now at a gold lead. The dragons are even, apart from where the structures are down on the map, and even with that, they've got a bot lane and inhibitor. They are fully even in this game, and they have a real chance to win it all.
Yup, exactly, and it's made even better by the fact that now Mobility has this third item, LDR acquired for this Aphelios. But let's look at this replay right here. You can see how low this Orianna is, forced to pop the stopwatch early. Young was really scared about getting engaged on there, and Trevor looking for something, but the rest of the team not sure to follow up, and as a result, this top catch just gets poked out constantly by the green gun, and Mobility manages to get him low enough to finish off the kill. And at this point, Team Fish Taco, they know they're outnumbered, they know they're outgunned. They're forced to give away the dragon, but a beautiful snipe, beautiful couple of snipes from Denethor take down Array, and they take down Sword as well. Yeah, they take down
Young.
God, I'm blanking. Young as well, my bad. They take it down to Young, and they are continuing to just push this game open further and further.
And all the props of the world to Denethor in that fight, by the way. He marks Faisal. He stops Faisal from entering the fight, forces him all the way, the long way around the red buff before he's able to join the fight. Team Fish Taco had to play that whole fight 4 versus 5. By the time Faisal arrives, it is too little, it is too late, and Denethor is crushing the remaining members of his team. This Jace is unstoppable. And TFT are going to have to find a way to stop this barrage of poke damage before it gets out of control again in these upcoming fights.
Yup, exactly. Now you can see Winthrop University, they're trying to make this game even more out of control for Team Fish Taco. The Baron is spawning up shortly, and Winthrop University are taking any chance they can have to try and bait Team Fish Taco into a choke point, because they know at this point that they're stronger in the fight.
Yeah, still going to be Faisal on the bottom side. This is a 5 versus 4 showdown. They're just giving more and more marks on over towards Array. Ray using that spell shield to block away one of the shock blasts as they start on up the Baron. Winthrop University forced to walk in. Faisal's going to have to TP, but Faisal is late on this. He just gets the recall up. Now he's CPing. He's going to come into top lane. The Baron might fall too soon, but they are backing on away. There's going to be the paranoia thrown on down. Faisal trying to buy the distance. Re-engaged into the pit is Winnie, as they are going to just duel one-on-one, and Trickster is winning this out, but not for long. The Wish going to be thrown down to keep Trickster safe. There's the Dawning Shadow for the shield. Faisal wants the kill, but the remaining members are going to come on through. Chunkies is cut off from the rest of the team. Faisal the first one to drop, as that Glacial Prison is going to connect on a sword. He's going to go into the stasis. They're going to land a shockwave onto 3, as the remaining members of Team Fish Taco are pushed away. Scatter the Weak connects on towards Array, as Trevor is trying to frontline. He dives back away, but he's lost his entire health bar for it, as the remaining members of Team Fish Taco are routed. They cannot keep up with the fight.
Yeah, Winthrop University, they want to look for more, though. You can see there's a little Mexican standoff coming out here in this river, and there is just a turret taking Winnie by a couple of bars of health. Our mobility dealing so much damage. Even his turrets are chunking out tanks at this point. TP coming in from Denethor. But I don't know if they can do this Baron, Gordo.
Yeah, the health bars, they're getting sustained back on up. The innate healing there from the Sejuani and the Tahm Kench. The heals coming on through from the Piercing Darkness, but Array gets chunked by a big ultimate, but untargetable thanks to the shadows. They can't cast the Nocturne ultimate until Trevor finally shows himself, but now Trickster is on top of him with the Stride Breaker, and Trevor's stride is broken as he falls down for 35 seconds.
But now with the delay of that fight coming out so much, the dragon has also spawned. Team Fish Taco, they have the option to pivot toward that mountain dragon and try to get themselves a soul point, but they don't want to. Winnie, he wants this Baron, he wants redemption.
He's got to get in there. He throws himself in, 2k HP on the dragon, but he's blown up way too fast. Trickster secures the Baron as they're finally going to be able to take him down on the other side. Mobility going to fall down to Young as they found 3 kills in the fight. Dawning Shadow comes on through, Array flashes forward. It's a 1-for-1. Denethor and Young are the last 2 standing, and both are going to back on away.
And Steel sings its tone as Denethor, the lone survivor of Winthrop University, stands. And he is going to use that Baron. He's going to try and just clear out this mid wave. What a fight there going in from the Baron. It felt like there was a lot of miscommunication from the teams as to what they would do. Would they go for it? Would they contest it? There was so much blank space in that river that honestly, it felt a little sloppy coming out from both teams as, yeah, we go into the replay. Baron has been started and they know when he is in that bush, and really smartly, they actually just stop hitting it completely. This is something only really good teams, I feel, like Winthrop University are able to accomplish. And as soon as the Sejuani goes down, that is the green light. Mobility, curiously enough, actually flashes forward looking for Young and Array, but he's completely isolated. The rest of his team is busy dealing with the Jax. That felt like a little bit of a hasty play from the mobility to go in there, but Dragon is fighting.
Picture Shockwave connects on a 2, but the Wish will keep their health bars up. Zonya's thrown down from Winnie to try to stay alive, but he's going to go down as soon as he comes out the other side. This is going to be Dragon number 3 going to Winthrop, but what can TFT clean up? Absolutely nothing, as Trevor will fall down again to Denethor, and Winthrop are now 5 versus 3 on the map with Baron buff and another Dragon to their names.
Yep, Denethor is the only one with the Baron up and available, so keeping this chase alive is priority number 1 in terms of pushing for Winthrop University. A recall coming out from Sor, but he does have the TP. The pushing power of Winthrop University is going to be put on full display.
Young taking another shock blast as they advance forward. Array, though, stacked to absolute infinity. He has so much range, and they are going to need to find ways to abuse it. Faisal still sitting on the flank angle, but can't find a good target to jump in towards. It's going to have to be focusing on the Chookies. He jumps in, but Denethor smacks him right back out.
Oh my God,
mobility is there to make him pay for it. Throwing down the Moonlight Vigil. Here comes the paranoia, but have they dove too far? Faisal gets back in onto mobility. Faisal going to find the one-on-one kill. Meanwhile, Young has taken out Sword, and Winthrop are without their carries. Denethor turns it back onto Faisal, and it's going to be able to take that one down, but there's going to be Trickster falling on the other side. 3 members down for Winthrop as Chookies and Denethor have got to fall back to keep this game alive. Winnie is chasing them down on the flank, though, has already used the Arctic Assault, but this is a long lane to run all the way down, and Chookies is cut off from the team. Taken on down as Denethor will be the final target, slowed up, chased down, and hunted down by Team Fish Taco.
Hey up, and it's only a matter of time as now Denethor shut down, going over to Winnie and Team Fish Taco. In the darkest of times, they managed to get a bright light for themselves after so long. But yeah, they can't end. There's no objectives up as well. So even though they managed to win the fight, they cannot transition it into anything big. The recall's coming in, not even a turret for Team Fish Taco, just some gold into the pockets of the carries.
And Faisal there salvages what I honestly has been an abysmal series so far. A huge play there, though, to be able to get onto mobility, to lock him down, solo him out, and open up a great fight. But now Winnie's caught. Winnie's trying to dive too deep. He's trying to feast on too many camps, and he will drop 45 seconds, no Sejuani.
Yup, no ability for the Glacial Prison onto any of the backliners. So Team Fish Taco, they lose a decent chunk of their engage potential without that Sejuani to back them up. So now Winthrop University, they have the super minions in the mid lane. It's going to be up to them to really split their focus down this bot lane and mid lane. You can see Sword in the bot lane trying to push out the wave. Try and really allocate your resources into different lanes. Spread Team Fish Taco out, as we do have a replay here. Like you said, beautiful stopwatch there from Denethor, denying and immediately catching out mobility. They lost the main carry immediately into the fight, and at that point they knew, Winthrop University, they knew that they were outmatched, they were outgunned, and they just had to run for it.
They absolutely did, and such a great collapse there from Team Fish Taco, but they got to do it again. The fact of the matter is that it's not enough. They don't get anything on the map. They don't get any structures. They don't get any permanent buffs. All they get is the money that comes with those shutdowns. That's not nothing, but it's not everything either. And they are going to need to put together another fight like that. They are going to need to catch Array unawares. They are going to need to blow up Sword. Something of that sort needs to keep on happening for Team Fish Taco, or they are going to continue to let this game number 2. It's already slipped away from them. The question is, will it fully fall to the ground or not?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that question will be answered in this next upcoming fight for the Baron. Team Fish Taco, now they actually have a they can decide to give this Baron up and maybe fight for the soul, spawning about 20 to 30 seconds after the Baron, or they can choose to just try and all or nothing it at the Baron, try to end it there, because if they manage to get the Baron and take the fight, then that is going to be a soul point for them as well. So TFT, they have a decision to make, and they have to be very careful with which card they choose to play.
Yeah, and 3 dragons in a row have been lost to Trickster. 2 barons in a row have been lost to Trickster. And Team Fish Taco, they've got to find a way to get one of these objectives. Winnie's coming up. He dodges the scatter of the week. Crucially, he finds himself in the pit. He finds the stun onto Sword, and now can just back on away. The Baron's not low enough. The snare connects onto Trickster, and this is the best fight positioning that Team Fish Taco has had in a long time. The Baron regens back up to full as the health bars are chunked away from, and both teams resume the standoff.
Yup, but TP coming in here from Denethor.
Does mean he's going to rejoin. It's 3v4 or 4v5 for now, rather, as Young continues to clean on up in the mid lane. Faisal has recalled. Faisal has access to the TP. He's just got to find his angle. He's TPing to bot lane. He's going to pressure the bottom inhibitor. The chunk going to land on through, but they still think they can stop this. They think they can deny the Baron 4 versus 5, and they're going to have to do it. The game relies on it, as Faisal is looking to bust open the bottom lane inhibitor. Winnie is chunked too low. The Baron will go over to the side of Winthrop as Faisal continues to split push. The paranoia back in. A beautiful Moonlight Vigil chunks out onto Young and Trevor. Winnie is going to drop. They're looking for more mobility, advancing forward with the Infernum, looking to burn down the members of Team Fish Taco as Faisal brawling with Sword. Both go into the stasis, and Sword flashes away, pushes him back, and wins out in the fight. Now Young getting chased down by Trickster and Chookies on the other side of the map, going to have to try to find his way to safety, but there's no safety to be found. Array tanks a big shock blast to the base as Winthrop University are looking to close this game on out. Young is TP'd to assist his top laner, but that's the wrong one, as he's got to get back to the base and save the game itself. Mobility continuing to rip through these structures with Denethor. Winthrop University take game number 2.
Oh my god. And a back and forth for the ages. Winthrop University, they come out on top. A sloppy, messy early to mid game, but a definite late game for Winthrop. That is when they most shined, when mobility was able to get those 2 to 3 to 4 items on that Aphelios. It was all of the dominoes down for the side of Team Fish Taco.
Absolutely unbelievable. Winthrop University remain undefeated in the winners bracket in the ACL playoffs. They have yet to drop a single game to a single team, and they will not be Team Fish Taco in game number 2, who ends that. Now going to need a reverse sweep to get themselves into the grand finals as we see this last Baron dance.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, you were looking at Winnie to get into that pit. He had flash available, but the CC, the scatter the weak coming out from Sword was pixel perfect to make sure the Sejuani couldn't get into the pit. And then it was just a chase down after that. Sword needing to recall to defend the base. But yeah, Winnie gets taken down. Trevor is no match for mobility at this point. This Aphelios is doing so much damage. The star player, I would say, of this series, mobility has been absolutely killing it. And that was no exception. Beautiful flash there from Sword. And it was just Faisal having to run away, tried to save his mid laner. Young doing a beautiful job of kiting. But all this while, you look at the base, and there is absolutely nothing to stop this Aphelios and Jace. And they just get delayed for so long. TP comes in from Sword. And it's just too late to back up the team. Game is already over at this point. They stalled for long enough, and that's how they won.
They did stall for long enough, and the steals from Trickster absolutely critical here. Denying Soul Point, denying Baron. The man is unstoppable with the smite and manages to come on up huge for the Eagles. And now Team Fish Taco, with their backs against the wall, are going to have to take us the full distance tonight if they want to come on into this grand final, and if they want to not have to make a trip to the losers bracket. So those games are going to be tough as well. And Winthrop University,
oh my
God,
God,
with a massive comeback, really starting to show that they just might be the best team here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one thing worth talking about that happened in this game was Denethor. I feel like there wasn't a lot of discussion around this Jace before the game started, but look at that damage. 50.7k on the Jace. Denethor did an absolutely amazing job poking out Array, denying some of the frontline engages from happening. Honestly, a jack of all trades and the savior of this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, Denethor is absolutely insane, coming up with a second massive game here. And now you got to wonder, where do you focus, right? You got all your resources into shutting down mobility. You did a pretty good job of doing that, and they still made it worth. Trickster and Denethor and and Sword, they all step up, and they have massive games of their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now Team Fish Taco, like you said, Gordo, backs against the wall. They're going to have to figure out something fast, because one more game and it's a losers bracket run for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they manage to run that losers bracket, but they need to definitely pick up some new tricks here in game 3 if they want to at least fight back against Winthrop University. It felt like they had such a clear early game, so much going their way, such a fed Senna early on who was just able to get so many stacks, and it just crumbled. It just crushed somewhere along there. I don't know if it was the steal or the multiple team fights that went Winthrop's way, or probably a combination of both. But at the end of the day, Winthrop, they had a lead, or I'm sorry, Team Fish Taco, they had a lead, and they just could not keep on with it as Winthrop just kept pushing for fights, and eventually they won them.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to take a quick break while we get ready for draft number 3, but we're going to be back in just a couple of moments. Winthrop University trying to stay undefeated, while Team Fish Taco trying to stay alive.
Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know to unleash eternal power, lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end, there's way more to avenge. Oh, dream. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Champions League, where we are going to game number 3. And Winthrop University remain undefeated in their upper bracket run, up 2-0 over the tournament favorites Team Fish Taco, and looking to make it a clean sweep and a heavy favorite tag coming in to our grand final.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think that this win, this just dominance coming out from Winthrop University has been off the back of mobility. Him being allowed to farm, him being allowed to come back into the game untouched has really been, I think, the catalyst for Winthrop's success in this series. And it's something that they have to be aware of in Game 3, right? They need to make sure that they pay more dividends to mobility, that they keep him down, because they did a good job at subduing him in that early game in Game 2. But he just came right back up toward that mid to late game on that Aphelios. The moment he hit those 3 to 4 items, there was no stopping him. And they need to make sure that that doesn't happen here if they want a chance at winning this Game 3.
They absolutely do. And it's going to really be a huge fight back on Team Fish Taco here that they need to find. They need to not only replicate that kind of success that they had in the first half of game number 2, but they're going to need to take that all the way to the end, and they're going to need to do it 2 more times. It's a very big wall, a very big cliff that they're up ahead of. They're going to have to ascend here with Winthrop University looking so strong. I do think they were on the right track, though, in that game number 2. They look so much better. And, you know, if some of those smite fights go a little bit differently, if some of those picks work out a little bit differently, they very well could have taken that game number 2. They need to remember that, not let the mental aspects of game number 2 get to their heads and try to fight their way back here. Or we're going to be out of here a lot sooner than we originally expected, Quacks.
Yeah, I mean, the mental aspects you said, Gordo, that game 2, that would be a tilter for anybody, being so ahead in that position where you know you have the chance to win the game and it just slowly slipping out of your hands as the enemy team accumulates more and more leads. But yeah, as we hop into draft here, definitely looking at Team Fish Taco to subdue and throw those bins right back on to mobility, make sure that he can't get some of his more comfortable picks. And I'm wondering if Winthrop are going to adopt the strategy they had in Game 2 where they want to pick the solo laners. If the solo laners are going to be higher priority than that bot lane potentially. And we can already see the Jarvan coming through, making sure that Team Fish Taco cannot get that. I am going to be really shocked if they don't at least ban one ADC in this first phase.
Yeah, going to be that Zaya coming on off for Team Fish Taco. So far, keeping the bans pretty similar. The Oriana ban going to be a new one for Winthrop. They banned Ashe and Varus with these in game number 2. They decide, hey, Young's Oriana getting a little scary there. It was very tough for them to play out that game number 2. They nearly didn't come back. they decide, hey, you know what, maybe that's one of the sources of the problem. We're going to take that off the board.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that Young has been a player that we've talked a lot about with Team Fish Taco, right? The catalyst to their success, I would say. And Winthrop have done an absolutely beautiful job at subduing, making sure that Young cannot snowball the game and be a lane dominant hyper carry like he has been known to be across the NACL. And I feel like that also contributes to the fact that Young hasn't had a lot of chances to play some of his more aggressive style picks. The things like the Akali and the Sylas have not been picked up here in this series, and I think it's hampering Young's ability to be that carry that his team needs now more than ever.
Yeah, the Ashe going to make its way through the bans for the first time this series will be instantly snapped up by Team Fish Taco. Will they want to give this to Trevor? Will they give it to Array? It is an active flex. Trevor probably a little bit more likely to be the recipient of it. Varus going to be taken here very likely by Winthrop. They see that Lee Sin, though. That Lee Sin was banned away from them in game number 2, and they say, hey, maybe we want to give that to Trickster. They grab themselves both the Lee Sin and the Varus.
And I mean, this is the champion that Trickster is well known on, right? He has played a decent amount of Lee Sin in the ACL, so he's no stranger to this pick in the competitive environment. But now I'm really looking at for setup around this Lee Sin. Things like the Renekton are really good for the Lee Sin so that he can guarantee to land the Sonic Wave. So I'm looking for a lot of lockdown on Winthrop University's side, specifically in that top lane. Team Fish Taco are also going to go back to their roots, going to go back to a lot of their comfort picks with the Sejuani locked in here for Winnie.
Yeah, they're going to go for the Freljord comp. It's looking like they differ from it after a little bit. They get themselves the Renekton, going for that really powerful tried and true topside duo of the Renekton and the Sejuani, and still just trying to find what combination can stop Denethor from being what he's been all series long. He has been, in my mind, the MVP of the series thus far, and has really, really come out up big in 2 games in a row. They're going to take the Sejuani Renekton now to try to hold him down. Now, will they pick a top lane here that they feel like he can withstand the pressure on? Or no, they just go for the Tom Kench as the support to the Varus, and they say, hey, come on, throw all the bans you want at Denethor. He's got something to play.
I honestly feel like that's more likely going to be a Tom Kench support, because Tom Kench struggles a lot against Renekton with the shield break on the W for the Croc. So that I would imagine is going to go bot lane. Obviously, Gordo, there is potential for a flex. But yeah, as we move into the second phase of bans, Malphite taken off the table along with Miliosa top lane and support targeted respectively.
Yeah, absolutely here. Now coming on through, going to be that Malphite, going to be more and more options taken away from Denethor. Choosing to ban away the tanks, they think, hey, you know, you're not going to be able to play a split pusher into this. I mean, come on. You know, you had a good Jace game, you had a good Camille game. This is Renekton Sejuani. You're probably playing weak side this game. So what exactly are you going to bring to the table here? The Malphite ban away. Will it be something like the Ornn? Will they just continue to focus on towards that? Will they just say, as long as it's not Malphite, we're fine with whatever? Aatrox getting looked at as well, just saying, hey, no, nothing that can keep its distance from this Renekton safely and not be squishy enough to get blown on up. It's that Heimerdinger ban coming on through, as well as the Melio. They seem to think that it's going to be an Ashe marksman, instead banning away some of these supportive options.
Yeah, I honestly feel like we were talking about what top lane picks could potentially be here for Winthrop University. I think Gnar is very possible. Cassante has made its way through the ban phase as well, and that is a good matchup, I would say, for Cassante when you go against the Renekton. I think that those are 2 champions that Denethor is really familiar with, and 2 champions that would work well in this scenario just to help and assist out the team.
Wow.
But it is actually going to be the Gwen of all champions. Yeah, lacking in the AP department, they choose to go for the Hollowed Seamstress. I really like when this champion is picked.
I mean, you got a mid laner left to pick, Winthrop. You didn't need the damage from the top lane. This is going to be a really, really bold selection coming on in, I think, into the Renekton and the Sejuani. So much pressure going to be put towards this Gwen. The skip and slash likely going to be her only path out. A lot of Gwens don't take don't take flash either. This might be the exception there. I mean, you need to be able to get away from this Renekton Sejuani duo. Is the Ziggs going to come in the marksman position, and the Jace in mid lane. Young going to get one of his melees, and it looks like it is going to be Ziggs Ashe bot lane for Team Fish Taco.
A lot of poke coming here from Team Fish Taco. This is a Ziggs, Jace, Ash. You are going to get annoyed real quickly by this comp if you're Winthrop University. So the main goal is to make sure that they cannot get into a position to siege. Try and go onto them before that poke takes off too much of your health bar. And that engage is already coming to fruition as the last pick up here for Winthrop University is going to be that Ari coming out for Sword.
All right, so Sword does get his hands on this one. Is banned away from him in game number 2. Instead, they choose to ban his Azir this time around. And he is going to be looking to make those picks. A lot of really powerful picking tools here for Winthrop, and very likely going to be a focus put towards this Gwen to be able to split push in the side lanes, right? She's going to be the most powerful side laner in the business coming into the later game, whereas the rest of Winthrop, they're so mobile, they're so able to disengage, they have so many peeling back tools up against TFT. They're just going to try to pull them around the map, keep themselves safe, and see what they can let this Gwen do.
Yup, I think that this I think the Winthrop University team definitely is going to be the Gwen and Varus show, making sure that Varus is safe, and that's kind of why you build the Tahm Kench, right? You have the Lee Sin kick, but you also have the Tahm Kench to keep this champion safe. This isn't a mobile marksman, and so there are certain conditions that need to be met in order to secure this Varus's power spike, and I think that Winthrop University have definitely met those criteria to draft the Varus and make it be successful. The question is just going to be, how do they play around it?
Yep, and I am getting word here. Mirage Alliance Peach Cats is 1-1. So we will update that up top of their series. Looking to go at least 4 games here. Whereas this one, at risk of getting closed on out if Team Fish Taco don't get the results they're hoping for. This is a very early game composition. I'm going to be honest here, Quacks. They really want to bust through these turrets quick and early. And I mean, I think that's where they've looked the best, quite frankly. Even in game number 1, right, they were able to keep even. They were able to build up some leads. They were able to win out on some skirmishes, and it just completely went lopsided in the mid game. In game number 2, it went even better for them. They could keep that trend. If the early games could keep getting better and better, then they could be able to stop it before Winthrop come back online, slam the door in their face, and take us to game number 4. That has got to be the plan here. I do think the best tool that Winthrop has to disrupt that is this Lee Sin. He can be so strong in the early game. He can really turn around a lot of these potential 2-on-2s. Maybe not the top side 2-on-2, but if there's a mid lane 2-on-2, I think he's going to be a lot more powerful there.
And I think that Trickster in game number 2 was actually really good at separating certain players away from the team. And I think that Lee Sin really exemplifies that ability perfectly with the kick. If you pick someone off, you have a lot of tools with your team to be able to follow up on certain picks. So I think it is going to be very, very important for Trickster to be able to roam around the map. And I am going to be really interested to see if Chukis is going to be able to help him with that, right? Or if he's going to be forced to stay with mobility with Varus. And I think it's really going to be dependent on how the laning phase goes. Like you said, Team Fish Taco, they want to bust open this early game, right? They want to make sure that they are on the back foot as early as possible. And I think depending on how successful that is, it could hinder Winthrop University's ability to move around the map.
It really could, right? I mean, these are the kind of compositions, right, that aren't the most straightforward in the world, but they can be very, very powerful. And when you execute them well, a comp like Winthrop University just feels like you can't even play the game. But the question, the flip side of that is, if Winthrop have some good reads, if they avoid giving up too much, if they're strategic about minimizing their losses and maximizing their gains and their trades, then they will just be way, way stronger when we start getting out of that early game stage, and they will be able to transition that into a pretty straightforward win. Love it or hate it, it feels like we're going to have a pretty good idea of what direction this game is going by like 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Team Fish Taco have a much more straightforward game plan than Winthrop University. Basically, all Winnie wants to do is visit this top lane and this mid lane, get Young and Faisal ahead as early as possible, blow the game open, because that will leave you open to get things like Herald, and you have a Ziggs. So the moment you get a Herald and you drop it, that Ziggs is just going to throw a bomb down, and suddenly you got a turret. So I think that your prediction about it being pretty easy to read at 15 minutes is accurate, Gordo. I definitely think this is going to be a more early game determined game than the rest of the games we've seen in the series.
Yeah, one little caveat there, though, is that especially after game number 2, and this is where the mental aspect comes in, you can never be comfortable after that game number 2.
Yep.
Team Fish Taco, no matter how far ahead you are, You got to have that game 2 in the back of your mind and know that Winthrop, hey, they're smart, they're calculating, they're very good at capitalizing on any opportunity you give them. We can't risk anything. And that can cause you to play overly passively. It can cause you to sacrifice those leads that you pick up, and you cannot do that on this composition. Once you get it, you cannot let your foot off the gas. So it's a lot. It's a lot to put on the Team Fish Taco's plate. It's a lot of weight on their collective shoulders. They need to both play aggressive and fast and never slow down, but they also need to not give opportunities to Winthrop to come on back and to punish them. And obviously they need to play good. They need to not play bad, just with a little bit extra fluff put over it. But that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Fish Taco, like you said, cannot put their foot off the gas, and I think that starts with Winnie. I think that Winnie really needs to unlock these lanes early on. He needs to put his foot on the gas and never let go. Look for tower dives. Look for aggressive plays, because I would say pre-6, you have a pretty open map to yourself. There's minimal escapes on Ahri until she gets that ultimate. There's minimal escapes on Gwen. Obviously, you have to go through the Hollowed Mist. But other than that, you have a pretty easy couple of of solo lanes to gank. And I expect Winnie to use that to his fullest potential and try to blow this game open. And I think it all starts with one gank, just trying to snowball this game as early as possible.
Yeah, it's really going to be all about how quickly you can snowball. Can't emphasize that enough. You can see there's a little bit of heed being paid towards the late game here. I do see a little Gathering Storm action coming on through for Array on the Ziggs. And Array on the Ziggs, by the way, that's an interesting pick for me. I don't recall him playing very much of it in his time on Golden Guardians Academy. Obviously, he was a sub on Golden Guardians in summer, so didn't really show too much footage of himself during that time. I'm very curious to see how he does on these mages. I mean, that's been a big question ever since mages started plopping on up into the mid lane, especially with that Ziggs in recent years, is just how good are some of these marksman primary players on some of those champions. Curious to see how Array is going to be able to perform on it here.
Yeah, I think if Array can perform well on Ziggs, if he can be given the space that the champion needs in order to thrive around these objectives, we're not going to see nearly as many steals as we get in Game 2. Ziggs is so good at denying choke point siege away from certain teams just with that minefield alone. It makes it dangerous to walk into certain locations at certain times. So a lot less steals, I'm predicting, coming here from Game 3 just off the fact that Ziggs exists.
Yeah, really agree with you there. I did just check his Games of Legends. He did not play it in spring with Golden Guardians. He has played one game of Ziggs career that's recorded on GOL, but that is from back in 2021. So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since he's brought it. I'm sure he's played games in solo queue and stuff on it since then, but it's not traditionally been his sort of pick. He's a lot more of that traditional marksman player. He's not usually one to bring out the spicy mages and stuff. I have to see how he's going to be able to perform on it here because, again, TFT have got to be firing on all cylinders here for this game number 3.
Yep, absolutely. I think that TFT backs against the wall, mentals are on edge, everything is on the line, and it is up to them to perform. Winthrop, all they got to do is what they've been doing. They just got to secure this last win, and they can go on to the grand finals of the ACL without a single loss, which is incredibly impressive.
I mean, that would be bananas. Obviously, unprecedented doesn't mean much. This is the 3rd split of the ACL, so it's like, you know, it's only been going on for this year. This is, you know, so obviously it's not too surprising that it hasn't happened before, but it's not likely to happen again. Like this is a crazy accomplishment if they are able to pull it off. And you know, obviously it's going to bring a major discussion point coming into the grand finals if they're able to do it. Let's find out here and now as we are on to the Rift for game number 3. Team Fish Taco trying to keep alive up against Winthrop University.
Yep, let's get into it.
Woo! Oh boy. I mean, that game number 2. It's going to be a tough one to follow here. And I don't know that necessarily these comps are the ones to do it, but we'll have to see. Could be another big comeback angle from Winthrop. I mean, it's definitely in the cards here. It's Winnie coming in for this bot side invade now. Going to get spotted by Chookies. Going to spot Chookies in turn. And will at least get that early ward placed down.
Yep, and I think that Team Fish Taco, the mental edge, they gotta make sure that to not forget that mobility is him. So just make sure that you pay respect to mobility, try and get him behind as early as possible, but don't forget the potential that this player has had and has had in this series. He has shown up absolutely when necessary, and same goes for Denethor. These two players, like you talked about, Gordo, you would definitely nominate Denethor for the MVP of this series so far, but I would honestly, mobility can be stated in that discussion as well, as he has just been popping off every single game.
Agree, he's number 2. But speaking of Denethor, not only is my man not taking Flash, he's not even taking the Ghost. He's got Ignite Teleport to face off against Renekton Sejuani. I mean, the confidence coming out of this team is absolutely insane, especially from their young top laner and bot laner. We got to talk to mobility a little bit a couple days ago when they had their win over Peach Cats, and what really stood out to me about that match, Quacks, is that in that same interview, mobility said he thinks Peach Cats are overrated and he's not surprised they were able to beat them, and then later in that same interview said that he thinks Peach Cats is the second best team in the tournament. And the kind of confidence to drop both of those in the same 5 minutes is just absolutely crazy to me, and he's backing it up.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, if you can't, I mean, you can talk the talk, but can you walk it? And so far, he has been proven that he can. So despite the trash talk from mobility, I think that he has backed it up with absolutely immaculate play in this series against a team that many predicted to make it all the way. Obviously, it is worth mentioning, and the notion that they do have some replacements and some subs. So Team Fish Taco is not at their 100% self, but just getting this 3-0, the fact that it's even a possibility for Winthrop is insane.
Absolutely here. I mean, you know, at least I knew about the substitution coming to the day. That's an Ignite down. Denethor's looking for first blood, and he's got it. 1v1 solo kill. Denethor at level 2 takes down Renekton as Gwen, and he's gonna make it 2 when he forced to flash. Denethor is absolutely crushing the top lane already. It's 3 minutes in.
Denethor has confidence and a lot of skill to back up his play. He is going absolutely crazy on the Gwen, has TP when the wave is going to bounce back to him, so he loses nothing for this recall. Beautiful start here for Winthrop University, an amazing play by Denethor.
There's just no way, man. When does Gwen solo kill Renekton at level 2? How does that even happen? The Ignite difference obviously making a big factor there, but absolutely nuts stuff from the Winthrop University top laner. Now he's got a level advantage. He's teleported back in. He's got the Ruby Crystal and the Dark Seal. He's making Faisal feel it.
Oh no.
All right, as they are going to be able to come on forward. Trickster nearly getting stunned on up here. Diving forward is Faisal, trying to hold them on down. And Winnie now going to be the next target. There's going to be the dive back in. 2v2. Denethor still very strong with that item lead. Will it be enough? The Fury stacked up for Faisal, and a flash forced out of Trickster.
Oh, but we're not done yet. Ghost pop by mobility.
Yeah, Trevor going to be the target. Array doing his best to return the damage. Trevor flashes back away, but he gets sniped down. And Array now in way too deep. It's a 2v2 show put on by Winthrop once again as mobility walks away with a double kill.
Mobility holding the Q until Trevor flashes and just manages to throw it in his face. No way to get out of that.
Woo! All right, Young putting TFT back on the map. He will not let this just be an absolute slam in the other direction. He gets himself one. This buys time and space for Winnie to play up in Trickster's face. But the teleport back from Sword is fast, and Winnie is going to have to back away.
Trevor's here.
That numbers disadvantage. Trevor, he's got to unlock himself. He's got to make something happen. They see Denethor. They're slowing him down. And it is going to be Winnie coming on up as well. Surely Denethor has no chance of making it out of this. The only thing that could go wrong would be a kill back, and it is going to be Faisal taking him down.
Yup, and we got the replay here. Trevor on the run, doesn't use the flash. I feel until way too late. Flash still move, but you can see the hold on the Q there by Mobility to secure the kill. And at this point, Array is waiting for cooldowns. One of the downsides of playing a mage in bot lane is that you are reliant on your abilities and not your autos. And when you don't have them, you may as well be a sitting duck.
Oh, a beautiful knock up from Chookies. Young needed to flash that. He will drop, and Winthrop now with kills in every single lane. And now looking to push it into the jungle. Trevor is there for the backup, but he's spotted on the wards the whole way through. And Winnie gonna make sure, play bouncer, say, all right, you guys had better be getting on out of here. With a gold lead to Winthrop handedly.
Yep, absolutely. No dragon possible, though, for Trickster, as there isn't priority for the Winthrop University squad in the bot lane. So a little bit unfortunate that they aren't yet able to transition this gold lead they have into any objectives. But yeah, Winthrop University sitting comfortably into this game. Gold leads across the board for the most part. Young, though, does have the serrated Dirk and the Doran's Blade, so a lot of power coming through this chase, and I really want to see Winnie start to play through this mid lane, especially when Sword does not yet have that ultimate back up yet.
For sure, for sure. The level and XP chart really favoring Chookies here today, and I don't blame him. Chookies has had a pretty solid showing so far on the Tom Kench, been a part of 75% of the kills, making that big roam towards mid to be able to stop Young and what he's been able to do so far. TFT, that's the nature of this, right? You cannot just calm down, slow down, and say, all right, well, we got to stop and scale now because we're falling behind. That's not an option on this composition. They have to keep going for these plays, even as the percentage chance of success falls lower and lower.
Yep. Absolutely. And both junglers are on the top side of the map here, potentially looking for plays, but Trickster not really able to find anything as both his side lanes are pushed up at the time, but they are bouncing back. So there is potential for this Lee Sin to try and get on the board, something that he desperately
No way! He does it again! Now Young is getting sharped back on in. This time, he will stay alive. They don't have the follow-up damage from the Lee Sin, but Chookies making it happen in mid lane, helping out Sword, and oh boy, does it make a difference.
Yup, I mean, Chookies is able to just roam around the map constantly. He knows that his 80 with that double kill is safe and sound. There really is no fear of a dive coming out through this bot lane, as they're just going to keep going.
Yeah, still dueling out in the bottom side, and Mobility comes up massive in the 2-on-2 trade. Array, gotta think twice if you can sing in lane now. He's gonna get out of here. The Trickster spotted trying to start on off the Rift Herald. Will force Trickster back over the wall. Here comes Denethor on the Gwen. Still going to be absolutely massive if this fight does break out.
Yeah, but you can see Chookies is roaming up. He's been so active around the map in this game, but it looks like they're actually not going to fight it. They're just going to roam down toward the bot lane. Not sure I agree with this. You know you're stronger. You know you have a numbers advantage. I really feel like contesting that Herald could have been the move from Winthrop.
Yeah, absolutely here. Array back to lane, trying to farm on up. See Sword coming back on in. Got the CDR boots already built on up and is looking to be a big force coming on in towards this upcoming Dragon fight. Dragon already taken to about half. It's Chookies and Mobility stepping on up. Mobility still so strong here as well. Young arrives to the play. Hextech Drake slowing them on up, diving on in. Sword going to be able to block the Glacial Prison for his AD carry, but Young has already taken out Chookies. Array going to be the target, but Array might have been the wrong one to focus as Young comes down with the hammer and picks up the shutdown. There goes Trickster as well. It's a triple kill to Young.
Young, where you want all the resources to go, finally get some more gold after being put under so much pressure by Chookies, and the win condition is starting to thrive here for Team Fish Taco. They've managed to get a fight for themselves and managed to push something, create something on the map to be able to win them into the mid game.
And winning, they are now able to get themselves back in control, able to secure themselves an objective, able to get some kills. This is what TFT needed And they do find the big play, and now Young is the one to focus on. Forget about Sejuani Renekton. It's all about Sejuani Chase. He has got 4 kills to his name of this fight, and look at how he's able to clean this one up.
Yup, and I mean, look at Winthrop's thing here. He goes for the Q, tries to get onto mobility, takes up a lot of damage, and Chuki's with the satchel charge is just completely separated from the team. Sword barely gets the tick to get a Ray here. The rest of the members of this Winthrop squad are just desperate to try and get a kill back. But yeah, it's a triple kill over to Young, and the win condition for Team Fish Taco is starting to get on the board.
Yeah, Chuki's going to be able to find the knock-up onto Trevor. Trevor going to get rooted up and taken down. An easy cleanup there, and now Array trying to defend 1 versus 4 up against this dive. Faisal has the TP. He's going to use it. They're going to try to bail him out, but the charm connects, and that's all she wrote for this dive. Faisal arrives just to clean up the wave, as instead more gold getting donated to Young over in mid lane. But it's a disaster for TFT as they attempt to TP and bail out, but they just lose more.
Yeah, but you can see Winnie and Young are roaming down to try and extend a fight, but the members of Winthrop University know the power of this Jace. They know it cannot be trifled with. The Duskblade of Drakthar has been picked up for Young, and they don't want to mess with that. So clean 2 kills, but unfortunately I feel that's where it stops for the red team.
Yeah, it's really everything in Young's hands now, as they are going to be able to connect with Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Flash away from Sword at the last possible second, but I don't think he's getting out of this one, Quacks. A shutdown to Young. The turret with the first turret gold to Array, and Team Fish Taco have a gold lead.
Yup, another kill going over to Young, along with the turret being taken down. Array, the satchel charge plus Herald combination is so strong if you give it time to if you give it time to activate. So yeah, Winthrop University actually on the back foot here, despite the solid early game, are down in gold. But we have seen this story before, Gordo.
We have. We've seen this story way more one-sided too. We've seen Team Fish Taco way further ahead, way less gold given on over to the Winthrop University carries, and it still was not enough. Team Fish Taco, they're going to have to keep this momentum going forward. That had better not be the last triple kill we see out of Young this game, or we are going to be walking away with Winthrop University having completed a 3-0. I still consider them favored in this game. A 500-ish gold lead at 13 minutes. That's not enough for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not enough to convince people watching after the shenanigans of game 2. But they're looking to go into Faisal.
Faisal in the 1 versus 2 slices and dices and flashes out, but gets hit by the Sonic Wave. The kickback from Trickster, and that's why you don't give him the Lee Sin, as he comes up with another kill to Denethor.
Beautiful kick there from Trickster. The Lee Sin mechanic shining through the insect. Managing to get another kill for Winthrop University onto Denethor as well. This Gwen has slowly been scaling up. Now we'll have access to these turret plates. This is a monster in the late game that you cannot ignore if you're Team Fish Taco.
Denethor chopping through this top lane turret. You're going to be getting a second one to Team Fish Taco there in the bottom side. A lot of that gold going to Array. That should be enough for him to complete his mythic item. And Denethor can't even get the topside turret yet. So still trying to equalize cross-map with Team Fish Taco. More gold into that Gwen just means that late game Gwen is coming sooner and sooner.
Yup. And along with the Gwen, there is also the Varus. Mobility 3, 1, and 0 has the Blade of the Ruined King picked up, is starting to build into the Rage Blade. You know what's better than 1 threat, Gordo? 2 threats.
Absolutely. And 2 threats. They're here. They've got the 2 threats. Yep. They're plenty on line. Going to have to execute them now to see if they are going to be able to get themselves into the position they want to find themselves in. Nice dodge of the Shock Blast. Pretty much puts a stop to the play right there. If Young isn't landing Shock Blast onto a squishy member, call it off right now. We're not advancing any further forward. for Team Fish Taco. Winthrop University, they say we're happy to back on off. As Enchanted Cristalero doesn't connect, everybody's on top of Trevor. Trevor goes down. No CC lands. Winnie left out to dry. He'll go down for a double kill to Sword. And Winthrop University, they see a weakness. They collapse on it. And Team Fish Taco with no response.
And you can knock them down, but you can't count them out. Winthrop University, they managed to put the gold lead back into their favor. Dragon is up, Herald is available, but a TP coming in from Young. They don't want to give this.
Yeah, but he's down a full level. He's not going to win this one-on-one, Quacks. He throws down with Denethor, but Denethor secures himself the Rift Herald, picks it on up, and is willing to exchange blows with the Renekton while he's at it.
Yup, absolutely wins across the board, and Denethor is just so strong. You know it's bad when you have to expend a TP, and you can't even fight the person one-on-one. You can't even get the objective at the same time. So major summoner spell blown from the, Faisal here. And yeah, he's just going to be forced to go into the top lane, but you have to be careful. Denethor is back.
And that's not something you want to hear us saying here at 16 minutes, that Denethor is forcing Faisal out of lane. This matchup, it needed the Renekton to be strong. It needed control to go over to Denethor. They drafted for it. They picked so early to enable it.
What?
And it is not paid on off. They're going to try to fight again. Denethor slices and dices through. He's got Winnie coming on up for the backup, hoping that Denethor over-aggresses, but Denethor sees exactly what's going on here. A teleport up towards top from Young, but he's gonna get charmed. He's gonna get interrupted. He's held in space and taken out by Winthrop University.
You could physically see the alarms going off in Winthrop University's mind when that TP got channeled. They were desperate to get it canceled, and not only did they cancel it, but they got a kill, and they're gonna get a turret. Winthrop University pulling ahead here in this bot lane.
Yeah, topside turret gonna get traded here for Team Fish Taco as Winnie just tries to deny anything possible from Denethor, but Chuki's coming in for the backup as well. And this push in bot side does not have to stop. Young is still dead for 5 more seconds. He's got no TP. Sword's gonna get some good damage in here. And Winthrop going to recall and spend some of those winnings.
Yup, absolutely. Sword just going to finish off that minion wave, but silently Mobility hasn't really been doing much for the past few minutes. This Varus has just slowly been accumulating gold through CS, now has the Rage Blade up and available, and as these games, as this game in particular starts to break open with these next couple of objectives spawning, most likely going to entail fights, this Varus has to be looked upon to see if these items were worth it.
Oh, Sword getting the pick here onto Young. Young face checks where he does not belong, and Denethor will burn him down with the Ignite. And Young off the table once again. The best hope for Team Fish Taco is not present as Winthrop University retain control over the map top to bottom.
Yeah, and I mean, Young now from 5-1 to 5-3, they keep on finding this Jason places he's not supposed to be, and they keep minimizing the carry of Team Fish Taco. And now you really have to wonder who is going to save them in these upcoming team fights if Young is constantly being punished.
Indeed, and Denethor throws down that Rift Herald that he secured with his own 2 hands, takes down a tower, and now is going to try to navigate his way out. Winnie thought he was collapsing, but he's the one getting collapsed on as the snips come on through, but the re-engage from Faisal. They're going to focus on towards Denethor. He gets devoured up, but Chookies gets melted through in an instant, and look at where Faisal has found himself in the fight. Denethor going to be able to snip one down, but they are going to be forced on back as Sword is shut down. Mobility up too far, takes a big chunk from the bombs, but Trickster throws himself back in, looking to clean up the fight, and he's going to do so. A double kill to Trickster. Mobility with the last shot. Winthrop University get the ace.
Winthrop University, it looked like a shaky fight, but a beautiful piercing arrow there from Mobility to hit the rest of the remaining members and gives Trickster the green light to go in with that Q. And they managed to find the remaining 3 members right before the dragon spawns, and they are going to have uncontested abilities to take this dragon most likely.
Yep, Denethor Just an absolute beast in the side lane now. He's getting collapsed on by 2 members. The teleport is going to make it 3, and he's got to try to get himself out of here. Chucky's coming on in for the backup, and Denethor just too quick with it, slowing him down with the nowhere. Bails out. 4 members arrive to the top lane, and they will all leave empty-handed.
Say it with me, Gordo. Gwen is immune, and they cannot get her with the Hollowed Mist.
Oh.
It just keeps on happening.
Enchanted Crystalero comes out, doesn't find sword, does find mobility. He's too far away for that to mean anything, as Baron is on the table, and Winthrop, they are wasting no time in taking control of that side of the map.
Yep, absolutely. As we are going into a replay here, you can see that this fight is actually going the way of Team Fish Taco. Initially, they managed to burst down Chukies, but they are in over their heads at this point. Sword with a beautiful Zanya makes them waste so many cooldowns. And already you can see that Faisal is alone, so they just simply finish him off. And now you're 3v3, but look at mobility, laying down so much damage. He knows the limits of the champion so well. And with this piercing arrow, look at the damage.
Here comes the fight. Winnie diving in, locking down mobility. Shock blast connects, but mobility is strong enough to stay alive. Denethor now going to be the next target. Goes into the stasis, up ahead of everybody else. It dances out to safety. The charm connects out of Faisal as he takes a chunk for it. But Denethor stepping forward. Gwen is immune, walking her way through all of those arrows. Enchanted Crystalero comes back on through. There's Mega Inferno Bomb, nearly taking down Sword as Chuckies is forced to devour him up. And Faisal launches himself in and takes down his lane opponent. Finally a kill for TFT as Chuckies has to head on out. Sword finding his way out there with the Spirit Rush as well. And TFT, they will only get 1 for all of that effort.
Yeah, but the rest of Winthrop University are sent limping away. Objectives are on the map, and they lose vital tempo in order to try and take
Q
them.
connects on towards Young, and they execute him. Teleport back in. Faisal trying to make this work. The stun hits onto a minion. They're not able to keep Trickster in place. Chuckies will fall one way or the other, though. And Faisal is able to retreat, but Trickster's not done. Still fishing with these sonic waves. Will not find its way onto Trevor. The arrow gonna get dodged away from, but Winthrop with control over the map. Look at these recalls. Look at these health bars. Team Fish Taco, they're out of there.
You're on a ward, my friend.
Oh, he's trying again. He's trying again. Sword's just gonna find him again. Sword's over the wall. Sword's hunting him down. Dominance is not enough, and Sword will pick up this kill in 1 or 2 more swings. Faisal's out of there.
The disrespect from Faisal. He figured that the ward, I really don't know what went on there, but nonetheless, Sword manages to pick up a kill. Array will die.
Cleans him up, chops his head off with the scissors. And no more Array, no more nothing. Team Fish Taco have to continue to play down a man.
Yeah, I mean, one saving grace from Team Fish Taco at this point, despite being down by a lot of gold and despite being down a lot of damage, is that they do have really good wave clear with the Jace, with the Ziggs. It is very hard to siege against this team, so this could give Team Fish Taco a way to potentially stall to look for something good. We've seen it before. Winthrop University, they're not immune to making mistakes.
Yeah, Winnie's got to put on his best thieving pants. Can't find the steal. It will go to Trickster over the wall. Denies Trickster a path into the back line as well. Winthrop will get the dragon, but not much else. Team Fish Taco looking to shepherd them exactly where they want them. Maybe find the bits and pieces of a team fight, but not going to be able to present itself. They're taking the inside track towards the mid lane turret. Maybe they can pick up some gold here, but the collapse is coming on through from Winthrop. They blow up mobility. Mobility is one shot, and Trickster gets a huge pick back through the rest of the team, but the follow-up is not there. This is Team Fish Taco's fight, as they're going to finish off Trickster. They're going to finish off the turret, and they've got themselves a 2-for-1 and some gold back.
Team Fish Taco, they managed to find 2. One of them is Trickster. The jungler of Winthrop University is down, and the Baron is alive, and they're going to look to start it.
They're starting on up with that Baron here. Chucky's going to get chunked out again. Denethor has arrived to the play. Sword is channeling his TP as well. This is TFT's best shot, but they're going to have to give it up. The threat of these solo laners is just too much. Denethor and Sword are so powerful. They force back Team Fish Taco, and that Baron will not be going down right now.
If Team Fish Taco can't find an advantage after taking down the jungler, then there seems to be a dying light here for the blue side squad. Sword manages to take down the mid lane turret, finally unlocking so much map for Winthrop University, and they have to be careful where those wards are placed.
Beautiful dodge back over the wall there from Sword. Saves himself. Look at that kick from Trickster.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, this could have been way, way worse if that kick didn't come on through.
Yep, and then you can see Sword, he's trying to mop up any kind of damage, but there's really nothing he can do. He's completely alone as we are going back to real time here.
Denethor constantly threatening these flank angles. He's been so impressive on this Gwen, by the way. Has constantly been finding the flanks, has been frontlining. You've noticed in some of these picture-in-pictures, he just steps up, throws down the mist, baits out shock blasts, and keeps folks away from the crucial carries. Chucky's taking a little bit of harass there, but will be able to back away. They don't want to commit any more engaged tools, and Winnie gonna have to use that blast cone to get out.
Yeah, good wards coming out from Team Fish Taco. They're trying to fish for any sort of information they can have. Winthrop University, though, just immediately clearing it out. They know where the wards are going to be, and they just immediately destroy them. Everything that Team Fish Taco do, it is met by Winthrop University with equal or greater force.
Oh, pulling Trickster out of position. The kick back in. Winnie now out of position, but will he be able to stay strong? Sword coming on in, gonna get pushed on back. Mobility takes a big shock blast. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb to keep him low, and Chookies will at the very least be the consolation prize. He's stunned on up. Denethor's arrived to the play, but he's already down 3 teammates. Shock blast from Young will eviscerate Mobility, and Denethor now going to be the next target. Everybody has to dump everything towards this Gwen as Denethor is kiting on back. The stun comes on through. The flash in with the charm from Sword as Denethor takes down 2 before he will fall. But now Sword is left up without any teammates. He gets one back onto Trevor, but Array will finish him off. That's an ace for Team Fish Taco.
And Team Fish Taco, they capitalize off of the over-aggression from Winthrop University. They didn't have the Gwen. Denethor did not have TP. It felt like the fight was so ill-advised for Winthrop University in that scenario. And all in all, Team Fish Taco, they managed to get some much-needed gold for themselves. Young manages to get a couple of kills onto his belt, something that he hasn't been getting a lot of in this game since that early game. And a light appears for this team after a lifetime, it feels, of darkness.
And again, though, it's so tough for them to do anything. When you check out the replay here, they get everybody down, but there's no Baron, there's no Dragon, there's no turrets to be found. They are going to have to replicate this sort of fight again and again if they want to come back into this game. And even with everything focused on the Denethor, he cleans up 2 members here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this Gwen is so unbelievably strong, and it did help that Sword manage to enter this fight as well. But yeah, I mean, this Gwen has become so unbelievably strong. I have a feeling that if they didn't chase Denethor, they could have potentially looked for a Baron, but they really wanted the shutdown onto the Gwen, and they paid the price for it at the end of the day.
They certainly did, with Dragon spawning now in 5 seconds. Winthrop University setting up here to try to get themselves onto Soul Point. Team Fish Taco coming in from the top side, and it's going to get aggroed immediately by a Sonic Wave. Denethor and Sword on the flank, going to be spotted here by Faisal, but what can Faisal do to stop it? They focus everything on the Denethor. The Mist is going to immune their way through that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but they will be able to get Denethor on the other side. A slow onto 3 members. Mega Inferno Bomb to keep those health bars chunked, and TFT are making a beeline for the Baron.
Yup, they got Denethor. They got the most important member of Winthrop University, and the Dragon, honestly, just a constellation loss, it feels, for them. Getting that 700 gold shutdown was absolutely crucial for Team Fish Taco at this point in the game. And now it looks like a Baron probably going to be uncontested, going the way of the Team Fish Taco.
That's going to be a clean up for TFT at a critical moment for them. They do get that gold. They bring the gold disadvantage down to 1,000. They get more income for their carries, a better chance in these upcoming fights, but they are not out of the woods yet.
Yep, absolutely. Now it is going to be up to them to try and utilize this Baron in the side lanes, and they really have to be careful of Denethor in that side lane specifically. If they can get some turrets, if they can get some wiggle room around the enemy's map, if they can place down some wards, then Team Fish Taco will be so much more prepared for future fights, but it is just a matter of diverting your resources.
Mobility with the flash chains on towards Young. They know that he is the man to carry the game, but he's able to get out. There's going to be the stun landed on Denethor. Denethor is so low, and Winnie will be the one to hunt him down as Array goes on a rampage. Faisal bringing up the rear as this is health bars low for Winthrop. Shock blast from Young to keep them from recalling, and TFT with their Baron buff and an opportunity to siege.
Yeah, I mean, they have an opportunity to get the inhibitor here, right? They just now have Faisal joining into the fight. Inhibitor secure, but it looks like they might be going for more.
They need to go for more. They're not going to get very many opportunities like this, Quacks. We keep saying it over and over again, but it's still true. They pull the trigger. They dive onto Chookies. Trickster kicks back in a member and is able to pick up a 2-for-1 as Faisal, Array, and Young have now got to back off. They made their effort. They took the chance, and it came up tails. They now have to head for the hills or risk losing the whole game.
Denethor has TP, but there is no wards to TP2 to get a flank onto the remaining members of Team Fish Taco. Good attempt there, though, to try and end, but like you said, Gordo, they're not going to get many opportunities like that. Winthrop University are still ahead in this game in terms of damage, even if the gold actually has reflected into Team Fish Taco's favor. Yeah, we can see the replay here. They're getting desperate. They try to go for Chookies, but the flash completely ruins their plans. Beautiful flash kick coming out from Trickster. He loses his life, but he manages to stall them enough, give them enough space to know that they can no longer end the game. And at the end of the day, that is the main goal here for Winthrop University.
Completely agree. Trickster doing his job and then some. He was the bridge. He was here to get you to the late game. And now that you're here, Trickster has delivered once again, saves the base. Says, all right, guys, you got through the early game. You didn't lose the game there. It's now 30+ minutes in. I'm ready to see this scaling come online.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm honestly a little bit alarmed that the last two fights have gone the way of Team Fish Taco. You would expect that a team with Gwen and a very fed Varus would usually win fights uncontested, but strangely enough, it's been Team Fish Taco coming out on top, surprisingly.
Yeah, Trickster gets spotted by Winnie. Winnie not even going to try to throw down his Glacial Prison there. He knows this isn't the target. This is not the time to use that. Time and a place for everything, but not now. As they advance forward, they will be able to take out this turret. The siege power from Team Fish Taco is unquestionable as they take down another big shock blast from Young. And Young, he will not fall off. He is still the best hope for them to be able to land this poke, to be able to utilize their range advantage. Enchanted Crystallero connects on towards Mobility and forces the Devour out. An opportunity of the inhibitor now as Denethor coming in on the flank will get spotted by Winnie. Winnie gonna try to slow him down, but Denethor is gonna rip through this boar just so damn fast. Winnie's already down. The next target is Faisal. They've got to be able to secure him a pathway out. Shock Blast connects. Trickster is low, but Trickster is not what matters. Faisal going to drop to Mobility. It's a 5 versus 3 on the map, and Winthrop University see a chance to end it right here and now and get themselves to the grand finals. Slowed on up by Trevor. Poke damage comes through. Array and Young do not want to let these low health bars get away without a fight. Enchanted Crystallero comes out, connects onto Mobility again as Young goes in for the flash shock blast, but it gets intercepted by Trickster. Denethor going to be able to complete the recall and get back into the base to be able to defend up against these siege minions. On teleporting to the bottom lane. Young is unstoppable as Chookies has fallen on down, but Sword is going to arrive back to the play to come in on the flank. Sonic Wave connects onto Young, and Trickster looks like he wants to take it. Young going to be able to build up the distance as Array is coming on in from the top side. The Dragon is started on up. The respawn has come through for Winnie. Chookies is still up the map. Sword flashes on in. Doesn't land the charm, but doesn't need to. Array is down. Trevor going to be the next one. Young has to retreat, and Team Fish Taco are routed away from the Dragon as this soul will be coming up for Winthrop and maybe even even more as Young is caught out by the Lee Sin, focused down and taken out. Shut down to Sword. Faisal trying to turn the fight back, but Winnie has already been belted out, and Faisal will get nothing for his efforts. Winthrop University with another ace.
There's 20 seconds on Array and Trevor. They can maybe save the game, but with the soul now available for Winthrop, there's Guardian Angels here for Trickster. They have a lot left in the tank to offer. They could look to end it here, Gordo.
They are going to try. 5 seconds to go on Array. He's got the Mega Inferno Bomb. Trevor coming on out. Enchanted Crystal Arrow flies. It hits on towards Trickster. The Mega Inferno Bomb has to come out. The turrets are gone. Trevor is gone. And Winthrop University, undefeated, are the best team in the ACL and await their opponents in the grand finals.
The ACL bows to Winthrop University, the top team, like you said, Gordo. And this last fight proved it. Your beautiful flank coming out here from the Gwen. And they managed to find Faisal in the process, completely split off from the rest of his team. Young and the Co trying to make something happen here. And they do get a decent amount of damage off, but TPs are available for the solo laners. They can just come back and enter the fight. Beautiful block there from Trickster as well. That would have been a dead Varus if he didn't block the EQ coming out from Jace. And yeah, we can just see here, we didn't see this, but Young managing to find the kill onto Chokis to finish it off. And just a standoff here, but there is reinforcements coming out from the Winthrop University squad. And they managed to just brute force their way into this fight the moment Sword arrives and has an angle onto Array.
Beautiful collapse there from Sword. Coming up big in these last 2 games. Wasn't generally the focus of the Winthrop roster, but coming up huge up against the toughest opponent that can be offered, and Trickster dodging on that ultimate. Oh my god.
Beautiful.
Such clutch Lee Sin play from him here in this game number 3. Be able to guarantee that the comeback would not present itself. And they were knocking on the base of doors, but Winthrop University say, we are going into grand finals with a perfect playoffs record. We will drop 0 games. And Team Fish Taco, you'd better win up against another team before you come to face us again.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely feels bad for Team Fish Taco, one of the top teams in the league, to get 3-0, but I really think that that indicates just how ahead Winthrop University is. One of the most storied organizations in the collegiate league, in the college league. They are a force to be reckoned with, and whoever finds them in the finals better prepare.
Yeah, absolutely here. As we are going to have an interview coming on up with Denethor. We are going to throw it to a quick break here while we get him set on up. We will be back in a couple of moments. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be rejoined by Winthrop University Denethor in just a few more moments.
So stand by.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Champions League, where we are joined by victorious, now contender in the grand finals, Winthrop University's Denethor. Denethor, congrats on the 3-0 win. You guys are undefeated heading into grand finals.
Thank you, thank you. It's about what I expected after Peach Cats.
All right, that was the question. So we talked a little bit with Mobility last week after you guys won over Peach Cats. He mentioned that he thought Peach Cats was the second best team in the tournament. You guys, is that an opinion held by the whole team? Did you guys think that Team Fish Taco was going to be a bigger challenger, or are you thinking this whole league is just free?
I thought they were both going to be pretty difficult, but after Peach Cats 3-0, it was like I didn't think TFT was that much better, if at all. So I thought it was just going to be another 3-0, and I think everyone else thought that they were pretty close in skill level, so it wasn't that big of a difference.
All right, well, I actually wanted to ask you about the Gwen pick. Was there like a certain story behind drafting that? Because it was a really unpredictable pick on our end, and it was a huge factor that contributed to Game 3's win. So what was the team's thought process behind drafting the Gwen?
Pretty much, they picked in Sejuani and Renekton, and it looked good. There was not much more thought behind it. I knew I would play well on it. That's about it.
Good stuff, good stuff. Hey, you like the matchup, you like the matchup. So gonna be coming out in with that. I do want to ask a little bit about coming from summer split into now. You guys in NACL open qualifiers were contenders. You made top 4. You made the promotion tournament. You were not the first seed or the second seed coming in there, and did not quite make it to promotion either. It feels like, at least from the eye test, between seeing you guys on stream last week and seeing you this week and how well you've performed in the ACL up against a lot of NACL level competition, that you guys seem a lot stronger now than you were just a few months ago in that tournament. Is that the feeling within the team as well? Do you think you guys just got unlucky or just showed up bad on the days? Or what do you think is the difference between Winthrop University now and Winthrop University in NACL promotions?
I think from both not playing our best and the unfortunate circumstances around the NACL playoffs, we looked a lot worse than we actually were. We're obviously better now, but I don't think that you should look at the NACL as if we're a lot worse then, because I think we should have made it, and I still think we were the best, at least top 2 in the teams in the playoffs. And I think now we're just definitely better than everyone else as well.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of anyone else, there are currently 3 other teams, as I don't believe the Mirage Alliance versus Peach Cat series has finished yet. Between the 3 remaining teams, that being Mirage Alliance, Peach Cats, and Team Fish Taco, which team do you think is going to make it with you guys into the grand finals?
After these series, probably TFT, I would have to say. They looked a lot better than Peach Cats, I think.
All right, so they looked a lot better against Peach Cats. Your opponent in particular was unexpected on the day with the emergency substitute for Faisal coming on in. Any thoughts on, if you do face them again, it would likely be with Surdy in the top lane. Do you feel anything different from the squad coming on in with a substitute? Do you feel that your lane opponent in particular maybe was a little off kilter, or do you think it's going to be same result? It made no difference whether it was Faisal or Surdy.
I think it'll be the same result. My team will show up, and whether I win hard on top lane or not, I think we'll win either way. I think Surdy is a little bit better than Faisal, but I don't think it'll be the difference maker.
Good stuff there. I see a question from Twitch chat. I want to throw that one at you. They want to know what went wrong in the Maryville University series and if you had any learning points from it.
I'd prefer not to speak on that.
Okay.
There's a few things that I'm not gonna dish out right now on stream.
Sounds good.
So,
No, perfectly fine. All right. Well, good stuff to know. Good stuff. All right. Well, I want to give the last question over.
Next time we face Maryville, it will be different, though. Just want to put that out there.
All right.
All right. Good to hear a little something. Quacks, you got anything else?
No, honestly, just congratulations on this series. You guys looked absolutely amazing, and I think you'll put on a heck of a show in grand finals when we see you guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, last word to you, Denethor. Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to say to those still tuned in before we peace out until we see you next week?
Shout out to my dad, Pilscar. He's always rooting for me in the chat. Appreciate the support. And then, of course, my team and my coach played really well today. And we're going to win grand finals.
All right. Well, you can check out to see if they do next Friday, where it will be the grand finals. It will be Team Fish Taco taking on the winner of Peach Cats versus Mirage Alliance on Monday. Those will both be streamed on this channel at the same time. Stay tuned to Aegis, Discord, and Twitter for more news on that. But that is going to do it for tonight's broadcast. So from myself, from Quacks, from Caddy and Chippy on production, and from Coachify and everyone else here at Aegis, thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you all next time.